On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, Thanksgiving is here to bamboozle you even further. You don't know nothing about the future. Sorry, I improvised that last part of the intro and had to stop myself from cussing 9 seconds in. Also, honestly, there's a whole bunch of stuff, actually. There's a whole kit and caboodle of EN updates. They're running like 4 campaigns over this weekend. So we're going to check you in with all that stuff. We're going to mention briefly a few things happening over on the JP side, and a few things about the big 20th anniversary special event they've got going for Fate's Day Night. And on the back half, after your mailbag, and I just want you to know, people at home, I did point at you, specifically you, when I said that, but we're going to talk about gaming awards, which includes the video game awards, but also the other thing. Hello, I am one of your hosts, Sword of the Year, Omega. With me, as always, Sleepy of the Year, Lucky.
I am very sleepy. But with that, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka a week of feasting. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EN versions of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should blame Apollo, as is good as proper.
Yeah, I just do that anyway.
Yep, it's just a reminder.
Also, honestly, I probably should have given myself the sleepy credit just because I am actually a little today. I mentioned off mic that we had an extra large pepperoni pizza for dinner tonight as a family, so I ate like a third of that thing. So I'm, all gummed up on pepperoni and carbs.
Call you Big Pepper. Big pepperoni.
If only I would remember that joke for next Friday, I could do a callback. I'm sure I'll have some other unholy thing to say about Black Friday.
Probably.
Anyway, real quick, I want to remind you, this episode is brought to you by viewers like you and our lovely patrons. More on them later. In my tangent of doing the slightly different intro. We're 2 minutes in. We're good. We're clean. I can say that it's time to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
And I make sure to double check the time because I want to say it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai, a regular segment for Pro Tips.
Pro Tips.
We can't cuss too close to the opening of the video because advertisers don't like that, but I do like to cuss a little early in the video so YouTube can't accidentally say we're for children. Children, go home. Sorry, I had to bite back a slightly out of touch and mean-spirited joke. I was going to say go home and play Fortnite, but who knows these days. I don't even know if kids do play Fortnite. Fortnite might be an old man's game now.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's just me, but I feel like Fortnite and Minecraft are just something that's always with the youth.
Minecraft is funny though because that one is old enough that you have old people who played the heck out of Minecraft, and now you still have new young people playing the heck out of Minecraft, and that's the kind of thing you could realize, I could be like a 50-year-old dad at some point, and, my own children could be like, Dad, you played Minecraft? And I would be like, yes, I remember when we didn't even have the food bar, child. You couldn't even sprint in Minecraft. Minecraft's old, y'all. Anyway. Some more that would come in. The pro tip, as you can tell by my huge amount of focus, I don't really have a good pro tip. Good luck opening all your boxes, I guess. It's a struggle. Take breaks, drink plenty of water while opening boxes. Occasionally stop and smell the roses. We've started, Thanksgiving stuff,
keep going, though.
Keep that one in mind. While Lucky is phasing out, actually before that, I will say an aside, patron chat actually did bring that to me. Super young kids these days play Roblox, that's correct. That's a thing that I can't. Even more so than Fortnite or Minecraft, Roblox is something for young people that I can't grok. I just don't know, man. Anyway, our first pro tip is, keep on your toes about Thanksgiving and stuff, I guess. My second note here is not really a pro tip, but it is a tip-off. I guess this is a good point to, give people an alert to the future early in the show while you're still listening.
The future.
Before you get bored and tune into something else. But, part 1... or Act 1, however I title it, of the Lost Belt 6 compilation should come out next week. It's going to be about 4 hours long, so I'm not committing to any particular day of the week at this time, but I've managed to kind of re-find my workflow on it, and it's all set up to be the parts for the first story drop that we got, and go through all that stuff. So that should be done within a week from now-ish. We'll see how fast we go. I do usually skim the episode at about 1.5 or 1.6 speed. Because this is actually completely unrelated, slight tangent, but this is a thing that I find really funny. Obviously, you can, these days with video players, pick up to times 2 speed. usually when you do that, most forms of video content or audio are legible. When I go 2 times speed in Audacity's playback for us recorded, we are full chipmunk mode and are barely understandable as speaking English, and I'm not sure why those should be the same, because 2 times should be 2 times, but maybe we do different math in web players versus my audio editing software. But yeah, I usually do 1.5x, but I have honestly, genuinely, with the Lost Boat 6 parts, occasionally stopped myself down to regular speed to listen closer to what we're saying, because I like going back and listening, and hopefully you will too.
I hope we're entertaining.
I think we still got it. Since we wrote long-form notes, both of us baked jokes into it, so...
Oh, okay.
There are some chuckles, we were writing our long-ass notes, so we had jokes and memes we kept referring to. I've snipped out most of the asides when either of us, because we both do it, just lose what the fuck we were saying mid-sentence and repeat ourselves or talking gibberish for like 5 seconds. Snip all that out. Try to snip out most of our uhs and ums. And, because I think both the episodes I'm editing for Act 1 were streamed to save on some video space. I also, whenever we just have an aside and talk to chat, or because you're streaming, you're like... I think during the first episode you were like reorganizing your CEs because you had like 9 million of them from rolling banners. So like just the moments when you would talk quiet to yourself about what CEs you were burning or stacking, I would just snip those out too. So it should be a cleaner, better listening experience. I've had to bump my own audio a little bit because for some reason I was a little quiet when I'm listening back to that audio. I'm glad that in general we are slightly louder these days.
Yay.
Which is good. We amplify, megafy. Pulling over Vivify. But yeah, like I said, you'll have that hopefully sometime next week, but it is going to be 4 hours. Further parts, I cannot commit on the timescale. I will let you know as I start working on the projects. Anyway, that took us, about 8-ish minutes to get in, so we're going to move on to Records on the Throne, a regular achievement topic. I only have one this week. There will probably be more in this vein, but I just felt the need to comment out loud that I was deluged by so many EXPs, and I didn't even open that many Lotto boxes. I'll save how many I got till later, because I'm pretty sure that's a mailbag question, but I know many, many more of you opened literally exponentially more boxes than me. I had so many EXPs still getting close to clogging up my inventory that I felt almost forced to Grail Summer Ibuki to 100.
I think we were talking about this the other day, but I do feel like we need to reach the point in our lottos to remove, like, silver EXPs and put in the 5-star EXPs, because once a person reaches, leveling up, like, everyone they have, all those EXPs kind of do nothing. All you can really do is sell them, or put them forth for grailing. And when you put them forth for grailing, you have to put a lot of them towards it, and it's not necessarily good to use. Well, it's actually a horrible idea to use the silver ones, because you get so little out of it.
Yeah, I think I probably should have started chewing in reverse order and started with my 4s at lower levels and gotten to my 5s later, because even just going to 100 is still super tedious. Going the full 120 is, like, mega tedious. I think you have to save only 5-star EXPs or just suffer. But yeah, silvers are, at this point, like, I think they have a purpose when they release welfares that have, like, double EXP. Like, silvers get you pretty far on those, but even that has a diminishing returns. And if they're not going to release more bronze and silver servants anytime soon, which they are not in a habit of doing, it's just kind of not part of how FGO's game design has gone, they're really not worth it. We need to, like, start sunsetting that shit, because all they are is a bad source of mana prisms, because it's like 1-to-1.
Not to mention that the mana prism economy has gotten a lot better with them just giving out mana prisms you
get like 4 a day minimum, and a lot more through other shit too.
Yeah, no, I got like 20k in mana prisms. I am not doing bad in those, so
yeah, no, I spend mine pretty regularly, and I'm still got like well over 5k. So yeah, it's that's why I say it's not even a good source, because they're 1-to-1, and it's just not. That doesn't matter to me. Burning 50 silver embers. Oh, I got 50 mana prisms. Well, I can just solve that by doing 290 plus quests. Actually, even more. I think you get, like, for, like, the lottos, I think each 90 plus was worth, like, 500 prisms? Admittedly, it's tough to, they are high-level content. You're not going to clear that any old day, but some of us have been playing for many years and have strategies for those. You can clear it once for the huge amount of mana prisms. So, yeah, it's just, It's an odd case. I don't remember because I haven't paid too close attention to Lottos in the future. I don't know if JP has started phasing them out. I do know that we do still get, like, we started getting 5-star... We'll start getting 5-star EXPs in Lottos. But I don't know if they completely cut the silvers. I think it's like how the stores do it, where the stores keep 4 and 3-star EXPs, but also add 5s. So, like, we could probably phase those out a little. But yeah, that was technically supposed to be a records, but did kind of swerve into all the world's evil of 3-star EXPs. It's rough.
The problems.
But that does mean we can move on to, did you finish your master missions? Your master missions this week are incredibly simple. Defeat 15 each of Saber Caster, Archer Assassin, and Lancer Rider Berserker enemies. Note that in the Master Missions tab, this just says not counting enemies summoned in the middle of battle, so I do believe this means literally any enemy who is these classes. It does not do the servant or boss thing specifying. You do also have to defeat 10 servants, and then get 15 and then 30 EXP drops of any kind. They really want you to go to the fact that training grounds are going to be half AP and open a lot, which, you may or may not want to do. Shrug. But that means it takes us to the news, the skelograms. And I alluded to this earlier, but actually, quite a lot of these. I made sure to keep a little bit better track of all the things they're throwing at us, and they've done a lot. First of all, we had, ending soon. I think technically will be just ended by the time this goes live to YouTube, but for early access patrons, you'll be current. We did Singularity Repair Campaign 7 Singularity, started the 18th, goes on the 22nd. It just was Enkidu and Quet Spanners, as expected.
Yeah.
And we are now into, officially, the Lost Belt number 7 pre-release story clear support campaign part 1.
That was a mouthful.
It is, because it's only part 1. Well, it's because they have to telegraph, because this ends the 26th, but I made sure to double-check. They're still saying Lost Belt 7 is late December. So we're starting to build up a little early, but the 19th until the 26th. First of all, 0 AP through Lost Belt 6 until the 31st of December. 0 AP, doesn't count. Trum is still not that. And remind me, chat, I'm pretty sure you're still supposed to have cleared Trum before doing Lost Belt 7 right away. They drop it later, though, I believe. But it might have been, like, right now. I did not see the specificity. There are story progress missions for more Leyline Stones and Saint Quartzes and EXPs and so on and so forth. This is another fun one. If you've cleared a Lost Belt 6, you will have indefinite double suck time, double suck chance, until the 31st of December as well. So just, if you're already through the hump, you've got extra juice. So that's neat. That's real neato. They also have a limited time run returning master bonus to try and incentivize you to, come back to FGO and catch up. And this is paired with banners for Castoria and Ryder Da Vinci, which is, pretty solid for super support. No, you're doomed. You have double suck chance permanently until the 31st. Yes, I know, it's terrible. Well, maybe you'll get unlucky. But not for this weekend, because it's actually triple suck. We'll talk about that later. We also have already moved on to start launching, even though we're still technically, like, right now, as of recording, in the tail end of the Singularity Report, repair support report, whatever. It's part 6 of that campaign. Started the 20th, going until the 30th. This one is officially EOR flavored.
Tasty.
That said, it's still 0 AP on part 1 only. And again, this is kind of bundled into the Lost Belt 7 preamble anyway, but in case you're not that far, it's also 0 AP through part 1. We've got a new Moriarty interlude is added, and also Moriarty's costumes being added to dressmaking if you've cleared EOR 1, I believe, or possibly related to his interludes. Also, they're adding it so the Amazona CEO costume for Penth is free in dressmaking now if you've cleared EOR 2, which is nice. And you're going to get banners for Moriarty, Scheherazade, Musashi, and Abigail. So, all pretty normal stuff. Funny to me that I read this through a couple of times. I didn't actually see that they're doing reduced AP for Epic of Remnant itself. So, but we're reminding you that Epic of Remnant does exist.
Ta-da!
Yeah, I know. Even our patron chat is like, odd choice being only part 1 0 AP and not EOR. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weird things where, like, especially because we're just speedballing through all these support campaigns, there are, like, I think there are, like, 2 or 3 instances of 0 AP for part 1 running right now. I don't know what your qualifications to get the 0 AP on main story are like, but several times this year, or this back half of the year, they've had overlapping 0 AP campaigns that are all, like, labeled separately, but don't mean anything different, because it's not like half AP or quarter AP, it's 0 AP. Anyway, moving on to the big one, our big one for the season, the FGO Thanksgiving Special 2024, starting the 21st of November, going until the 30th of November, giving you a healthy block of time there, almost 10 days. First of all, there is, an accumulated login bonus, not consecutive, accumulated, 5 days to get Embers, MP, St. Courts, etc. We're getting 2 Nero bonus CEs if you log in right now. You just get 2 CEs that are Nero themed. I'm not sure exactly what these were for in JP originally, but I'm sure they were promotional material that we just weren't going to get otherwise. One of them might have been for one of Wadarko's exhibits, because obviously we are probably not going to get those exhibitions in that format here.
I cry.
Well, hopefully we'll get some for some other stuff going on. They do like to get us some fun stuff for their cons, and maybe they'll do another FGO, USA World Tour or USA Tour. There are limited time master missions for 10 St. Courts that are specifically Thanksgiving themed. Also, I believe this is a Thanksgiving My Room skin. Cool.
Yeah, no.
That means that once again, admittedly, it has been literally years since I heard this, but this is the kind of thing that I think if anybody is still saying, oh, they hate NA, they hate English version, truly you are wrong. You are the wrongest.
The wrongest.
Because if they truly despised us, why would they be making brand new assets that are only for us? I do not believe there is an equivalent My Room skin for JP. But yes, it's the Hawksgiving turkey time. We'll talk about that in a sec. We do have half AP Embers and Training Grounds, like I need XPs. It's a little odd to me, but I think it's just because it's part of Thanksgiving, but it's a little funny this is coming right after a Lotto, where it's just like, I'm literally lamenting how many fucking EXPs I have. And they're just like, hey, you want more EXPs?
You're like,
no,
no,
I really don't.
Me.
And Training Grounds might be good. It's been a long-ass time since I did normal vanilla Training Grounds, guys. I guess you can get skill gems that way in a pinch and statues, but I much prefer to buy those in stores or get them in the Lottos. That said, for the duration of this event, we're currently experiencing triple suck chance.
Woo.
So, you're going to keep that double, but currently it's triple. Another fun one for Mystic Codes. If you've cleared the finale of Seraph, the CCC Mystic Code is now free in the Rare Prism shop. Or it might be the regular extra one. It's one of the 2 extra themed ones. I think it's the CCC one. But it's hard to tell sometimes because they're all school uniforms. Anyway, one of them's free. And your banner rotation for Thanksgiving officially will be, most of these, by the way, are only running like 2 days. Nero Bride, Skahawk, everybody is just nods and waves, Kagekyo, First Hassan, Summer Tamamo, and Bazette. So, a week's worth of spread at about a couple days with some overlap. Pretty interesting. I think probably the surprisers here are probably the Kagekyo and Bazette reruns.
Oh, yeah.
Summer Tamamo it's an unusual time to throw her in with Thanksgiving, but I guess they just wanted to balance out the Nero Bride.
Makes sense.
But I think both of those those units have been around long enough that it's pretty frequently to see them, and I do think that FGO NA likes to squeak in Gramps when they can, but Skahawk is just like mandatory at this point.
I believe it.
I'm honestly quite surprised there's not a Gilgamesh run, but he also may have a banner in there somewhere already. There are so many Gilgamesh banners, I literally stop counting when they come up. But yeah, good spread, so keep that in mind. I think I've gotten back up to over 30 St. Courts. I may take a tenner on Kagekyo Day, because I still don't have one. And we're saving anyway, so if we got it, we might take a gamble, but we'll see. Sadly, I did not have anything prepped and forgot about that they were doing the 1 day only for Bryn and Kremhild, so I missed my opportunity on that one. Cry. We do have a JP update, though, also. Mystery House Crafters banner number 3 hits. That starts the 21st, goes until the 1st of December. This is banners for Van Gogh and Super Bunyan. Kind of interesting to see these guys buddied up. It does come with a Super Bunyan NP buff. Damage multiplier is increased, and now she automatically gives 20 stars. I don't know if this really, saves the case of Super Bunyan's kind of weird niche about the bonus damage via the number of likes you've generated, but a 20-star infusion definitely is good for the squad, and you get more damage out of the default multiplier. Also, some people have called it as Vango Welfare's already got a rank up. That's not really true. This is much more similar to the thing that Cascu got, where technically if you clear a certain chapter of the main story of Mystery House Crafters, Vango gets a skill buff, which is interesting but not unheard of. So this gives her third skill an increase, which now gives you crit up based on the amount of stars you have. So let me actually calculate the formula, but it's, like, if you have 10 stars, do blah, blah, blah. If you have 20 stars, do blah, blah, blah. And I believe these are all additive, so let me go ahead and pull it up to get the full list here. Third skill. Yeah, so it's each level is 20 to 30%, but I assume they're all additive, so you can get, 30% 5 times for 3 turns if you have 50 or more critical stars. So definitely, gives you some funny comp opportunities, especially because she's, quick focused, so is the original Van Gogh. So there's some team comps you can set up there. And then to round out our FGO-related news, they have alerts announcing the Faith 20th Anniversary Showcase. It's a one-day showcase. It's going to be on the 23rd, so the same day that this comes out. And they do, at least on the FGO news site, have a stream link, so some part of this event will be streamed. So keep your eyes peeled for any new various oddball announcements coming. Yeah, I can see. I think it's been a long ass time since we got strange fake news, so maybe we'll see. But yes, that is our Skelegram's news for the day.
Yay! So with that, Lucky will take control and let everyone know it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Oh, that was very good. I just did a refresh, and we have seven lovely, lovely comments, and we'll get through them all, starting right now. Our first one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes, wah 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 wah, and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Always a joy to see that. This next one comes from the 100-Hour Man. I do like that name. I know I said that last week, but I do like that name. The 100-Hour Man, who got 138 Lotto. A box is clear. Someone give the slight spelling mistake, get blasted gif. But they say, Dear Lucky Omega, hope you are both having a fantastic week. I have one... Thank you, Omega. I have one simple question to ask, which you have probably already answered by the time you read this, but didn't answer last week, so... I wanted to make sure it hit this week. How many boxes did each of you get done, and did you hit your goals? Keep on being awesome. Well, joke's on you. We didn't tell everybody. We waited.
Yeah. And honestly, if it came up organically, it would probably be in Free Talk after Mailbag anyway, so good on you.
Yeah.
So for me, I got, I believe the final was 25 boxes done, which is about average for me, but was a little less than I was hoping for, but one, because I was completely fucking flattened by a terrible headache on Monday, which would have otherwise been probably a premium farming day, and also just because I started hitting that limit of I'm okay, so I'm running out of space in my normal level. Do I want to just vomit EXPs I don't need into my second archive? Am I burning all these EXPs? Is it worth it? I definitely slowed down and hit probably fewer Lotto boxes than I intended at the start of the event. We'll see how deep that cuts me on the skill gem market, but it was definitely a point of I feel like I felt even at 25, I'm over farming. I cannot imagine what some of you who got 100 plus boxes are doing for all that EXP space and how annoying that has to be to shuffle that shit around.
I'm pretty sure they're just selling EXPs at this point and just banking more on getting more skill gems and in QP.
It's pretty good, and you get QP for selling as well, so you can go deep in the QP mines that way.
The QP mines.
Also, I feel like my box levels were impacted because the first and second phase were actually kind of rough. I had a very easy setup for not the 90++, but the 90+ node for the third wave. Very easy stuff. With, like I said, just using Ibuki and some plug suit swaps. Actually, it's the final battle uniform, but you know what I mean. Using some order change shit. It was I had that down to a science of 3 turning. My strategy involves using MHXX to delete that fucking monkey every time. I just handed her a K-scope and was like, XX, kill. Probably overkill at a certain point, but who cares? Fuck that monkey.
Oh, you say that. I use an MP5 Vlad on that monkey.
Hey, that also works, baby. Whatever works. Send that monkey to hell.
The monkey got stabbed a lot.
Oh, I always hate that monkey.
On my end though, I made it out to 30 boxes, which was basically my goal. I wasn't too fussed about it. Like I said, I'm also in that mode of like, I can use more QP and I can use more skill gems, but boy howdy, there's a lot of embers in this goddamn Lotto, and I wasn't entirely sure. Like, I'm like, what am I doing? So
yeah, I will say, while I felt like I underperformed a little at my box total. I cleaned that fucking store out. Like, I got enough Morgan medals to buy literally everything except the like code unlocker keys, which I have a backlog of those. So like, I think we did fine at stuff.
I still bought it. I cleared out the store as well. So
yeah, no, it's the amount of work is in there. But I guess for some of you who are like directly on a 120 grind, you know, just starting possibly even from 90, not even already at 100. Going to the mat for, like, you just, when you fill up on EXPs, you just dump them all in your servant and move on. But I don't currently have any 120 plans. I got a couple servants I could 120. But I am not for sure who I even have, like, the maximal NP levels for that, you know? Like, having enough copies for servant coins. So it's a thing that I'm still, like, thinking about, debating, mathing. But for Ibuki, it was definitely just like, no, you don't need the extra levels, Ibuki. You're killing it at level 90, but also you are my secret super sauce for this, so we're just going to give you 10 more levels.
Yeah, no. Did I mention it last week? But no, I did mention it last week. That Lucky's starting his slow grind to get a Summer Ibuki to 120, and it is slow and painful.
Yeah.
But so other than that, though, let us moveth on it. And this next one comes from a master who's grateful to have his power back from the bomb cyclone. What?
What is that? I don't know why they call it that, but I think that's like a weather term. It's like the you call it like the Arctic bomb or the northern bomb. It's a thing that happens when you get like a sudden influx of air.
Oh, okay.
At least I think that's what we're referring.
Some sort of freaky weather phenomenon. Got it. We'll go with that. Hey, Lucky Omega, hope you're doing all right this weekend. IGC posted minor smelling mistake again. Want to wish you well if you've been affected by any weather and had any emergency kits in the future for ease of mind. Thank you for reading and have a safe end of the month. I do have some emergency equipment. You know, I always make sure we have a stockpile of bottled water, some canned foods, lighting stuff, but not like a full emergency kit. Like, we're supposed to like also store, like, you know, changes of clothing, batteries, lights, radios, things like that. That's one of those things.
I don't think we set up clothes for like the Go Kit, but having lived in Florida for many years, and I think I've mentioned this before, but my father has previously been employed in emergency services, working both for the Red Cross and for contractors. We've always had the big plastic tub of supplies from everything from like, you know, just, hey, look, you know, Dad brought home free glow sticks from a conference once, to like all of our actual flashlights and solar battery banks and all of our spare battery sets. Got a couple of, you know, emergency radios and shit. Worst comes to worst, we still have a couple, you know, candles lying around the house too. I do personally swear by, though, I'd have to get up and check the box for the exact brand, but there are these little, like, emergency light bulbs you can get. They're LED, but they have a solar panel on the side. Or you can just plug them into a normal light bulb socket to charge.
Okay.
But they also come with little, like, hook sockets, and actually mine come with a USB charger as well. So, like, you've got, like, 4 different ways to juice them up, and they come with a little hook so you can just hang them like a normal light bulb. Has been a godsend whenever my power has been out, whether it's for storms or not. Just because you will not believe how annoying it is to have a light source in the middle of, like, a suburban or rural area when everybody's power is fucking out. And the night is dark, y'all. Some of you don't know because of light pollution, but nighttime? Dark time.
Oh, yeah, no. Now that we're in the freaking, now that we're getting into winter, it's getting dark. Getting dark real quick.
So yeah, I swear by those things. If anybody is planning their own emergency kits.
I probably should. I should get me a nice tote.
But yeah, no. Sorry, I'm just thinking of Scar singing "Be Prepared." Now, it's a good line though.
All right then. Let us move swiftly on. This one comes from Fairy Cup Cleared. They say, howdy, Lucky Meg. I hope you're going well, and I hope you're having a good Thanksgiving next week. Now that we have our final Tamlin, I want to know, out of all the Tamlin, Totodot included in this game, who is your favorite? I mean, it's got to be Vargas. I mean,
correct. Yes,
I love her.
it's that one.
Love. You can't see it, but when I said that, I made hearts. I made a heart with my hand. Put it over my heart. That's how serious.
Oh, yep. Good gif. I should start that. You never know if I'll need that later.
Yes. No. This is important. It's not letting me start. Why? Well, there it is. Took me a second. But yes, that one's actually fairly simple, so we'll just move swiftly on. This next one comes from Sick King. Oh no. But they say, Dear Lucky Omega, how are you guys doing this week? My question is for Liku, who's your MVP during Morganfest? Mine was Melico. Anyway, beyond that, you guys have a good week and happy Thanksgiving. I'm gonna go crawl back in bed to get over being sick. Yes, you do that, get plenty of rest, make sure you have plenty of food and liquids. Remember, most of you being sick is your own body trying to fight off something fucking weird inside of it.
Yeah, that was something that a complete tangent, but that's something that I didn't really think about the mechanics of until college, but I was doing basic bio classes and talking about how the proteins that make up your body, that form into amino acids and other complex shit, are so funny because they operate under specific conditions. Do you know why eggs scramble when you cook them? It's because they're mostly protein, and the heat changes the shape of the protein, ruining it. So it becomes, more solid. That's basically what your body is doing when it gives you a fever. Your body is raising your internal temperature and hoping that is just going to fuck up whatever's going on with whatever's infecting you. Because they're just so small. And it's man, yeah. But yes, drink plenty of water. Now, the question. The MVP. It should be pretty obvious from what I talked about earlier, but definitely for that later phase, which is when I got most of my farming done, it was Summer Ibuki.
No, it's the same for me.
I do have also an already level 100 Saber Musashi, but I feel honestly, in this day and age, Saber Musashi's run is better for pickier enemies, basically, because she has her funny anti-saber stuff, and also she has, the Pierce Invul going on. Ibuki is definitely much more smoother because she has the big self-battery and stuff, which I do have at level 10, and her other buffs of just, generic making the enemies the dead. So that was definitely my MVP. I do think that Melusine's flexibility helped me with a couple of the early matches, but like I said, when I really locked in for farming, it was Ibuki. That said, speaking of getting rid of, my gift box is currently full of the last batch of EXPs from my Lotto boxes. Maybe I should give Melusine to 100. My Bargus is already 100, so maybe we can go even further beyond. More attack stats.
So, we move swiftly on. This next one comes from the Tiger King going ham on raids and go, because he wants different color PNG, yet these hands will never hold them, so as I pray, unlimited raid works. Question, hey guys, with the stream tomorrow for SSN, what kind of news are you hoping they'll announce tomorrow? Also, what servant are you currently working on 120 at the moment? Anyway, that's it for me, sending good vibes your way, wah, and hope you have a great evening. For the stream tomorrow, I don't know. Like I said, we've already released Fate Stay Night. We have news that Holoradic X is coming out. Maybe we get a release date on that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I would expect Holodiraxia release window, if not date. Hoping for? I guess, like was said before, maybe some news about the Strange Fake animation, because that's really gone into the weeds.
I feel like they probably save on the Strange Fake news probably until New Year's, honestly.
Well, I do think they said that Strange Fake would be the New Year's special again this year. I think they did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we may just give them further clarification on, where they're going with that. I mean, I don't know if they want to go crazy, I guess, because technically Artoria is one of the cover characters. I would, as I have been re-listening to our old talks on LB6, I would love an anime adaptation of LB6 to be announced. I don't think that fits in with the 20th anniversary of Fate Stay Night, though. So, yeah,
it probably doesn't, but I am there for it.
I genuinely, there have been rumors and leaks coming out about new Fortnite season, so I do not know if the tweet that's in our Discord is doctored. I don't know if I'm going to be okay if they do announce a Fate Stay Night collab with Fortnite. No, like that would definitely be a kind of announcement they would probably give at the FGO New Year's streams would be a big animation like that. Like I said, I'm mostly thinking just probably Holodiraxia news since they did say that they were planning on releasing that. And I think they may have said this year they were planning on releasing it. I think they said 2024.
I do not recall.
It's been a few months. They may also have been talking about like quarters, which can get a little weird. But again, we'll see what they got. Hopefully they got a bitchin', CM or something.
Would be pretty rad.
Okay, no. So I'm gathering from context clues that the chat is saying the Fortnite thing is real. That is crazy. I guess that just goes to show you how fucking stonks Fate's Day Night is. And yet, no nominations at the Video Game Awards.
Honestly, I still think that we have some weird bias against Japanese games.
Well, I mean, it is also very weird because to completely tangent our ass out of here, sorry, but to completely dig into the weeds, on the one hand, it kind of makes sense because, so Fate's Day Night and Tsukihime both got super huge reviews. I believe they are still some of the best rated games for the year. Not, completely, because I do think Astrobot finally, tied or dethroned them. But got huge Metacritic and OpenCritic scores. I think the problem is that because they're visual novels, it is true that the amount of gameplay in their video games is very limited, and so I think, the only categories you'd think about them might be Game of the Year, maybe, and also would be, Best Narrative, and there are a lot of pretty good deep stories already out there, and it is a little, Tsukihime Remake, I think, is kind of a shame, though I could see some people not pushing for it because it's only half a story. And there's a lot of hours in, so I genuinely do not know how many outlets, are out there reading it. I do kind of think that, in a lot of ways, Fate's Day Night is kind of the Dragon Ball of the visual novel world. A lot of motherfuckers have heard of Emi Ishiro. It's an OG that I do think loads and loads of people know the franchise, but I don't know specifically how many video gamers know the franchise, and the judging panels, I don't know how many of, their whole body of people at, Games Radar and, IGN are going to have played the entire thing, Which I think kind of hurts its chances. Now, for Fate's Day Night Remastered, remasters do count, but I can see people not thinking about it because it is basically just the game that already existed in Japan for years finally being released in English, which is an accomplishment in itself, but to the press may not seem so big. But, I think Tsukihime could have used some nods. That is a rewrite, Nasu's doing the same level of work with the story anyway that the FF7, Rebirth team is. Actually, that's a question I'd love to see. Because of the way the old school FF scripts work, how many words is in the original FF7 as a script versus the original Tsukihime? Because visual novels can be very, very text dense, whereas games like FF7, the original version, are very text loosey goosey. I think I've mentioned this before, talking about how the game characterization and stuff works is old school text box games had to be very conservative. Everything had to get across in just a couple of lines of text and pips. But they're doing the same big name expansion stuff. It's very big. So yeah, I am sad not to see it. I do think that despite we're in a really big time for visual novels right now, I do believe also that Nintendo did a lot of first-time localizations of their old Famicom visual novels. I think that was mostly this year, and those are all really big and striking. I kind of feel like maybe the press hasn't caught up with the audience on that one yet. Kind of reminds me how the I would say light novel boom is still ongoing even, but I do feel some people haven't really realized it. But also generally it could be a problem of small reference pools. I'm reminded of the discussions about content creator of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where then people make the joke about 5 white dudes you've never heard of, and then one Usada Pecora. But we're at such a point where the contentosphere is so large that all of those people literally have millions, possibly tens of millions of subscribers and followers and shit, and it's still possible for you to have never fucking heard of them because that's just how big the sphere is. So genuinely, despite the fact that it got such high reviews from outlets that actually acknowledged and reviewed it, I could also see loads of people in the industry just being like, oh, Fate Stay Night Remastered? Never heard of it. What's that? You know, because they were busy that month playing something else that took 10,000 hours or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. We may just be in a case where the zeitgeist hasn't caught up. I had another aside thought, but that's a whole new thought. I'll save that for when we actually get into the what's upping. What's upping, even. How many syllables can I sacrifice from what's up and still have it make sense?
Whoa.
I got it, but also that's really funny to me for some reason.
Alrighty. Anyway, we got one last one here. It comes from Agent 418 who says, "Hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all." Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
But this is where Lucky throws his documents into the air and says, that's it for Mailbag.
Right.
Yay.
Close that tab. I will say it's very funny because the Lucky noises reminded me of a Greg the Sorcerer tweet I liked earlier today, which was me taking continuous poison damage after accepting a mysterious potion from some shady guy in a cloak, and it's just somebody tweeting the word "ugh" over and over again until they max out the Twitter character limit, and I'm just like, yeah, it do be like
it. Oh god, I am just thinking about those games that when you're poisoned, you just take damage, you just hear.
Yeah, you just do it every step. Old-fashioned step-based RPGs, yeah. Or, I mean, I admit it's because of my, like, deep-seated trauma, but it's like, the old-school poison sound in Pokemon games, just every step. You get on the bike and you hit, like, 4 every second. That's just one of my, like, oh no, I'm dying. How dare you poison me? It's that and hearing the low HP alarm specifically during the gold-silver gym leader battle theme, which is also specifically just trauma about Whitney. I think I've talked about that before, that like whenever I hear the like gold-silver era like gym leader theme, I'm like, I can't not hear this without the alarm bell going off in my brain. That's just so ingrained in my deep tissues as just, this sound means this music means you're getting your ass beat.
Yep.
I will say, that's one thing I know Sword and Shield is not highly regarded as far as Pokemon titles go, but that is one thing that they did have really good. Their arrangement of the gym leader battles was really cool, of just like starting on the field, and then when you get hyped up, they literally added the fucking crowd cheers to the mix. It was dynamic music, and it's really killer. Scarlet Violet tries a similar thing, but it just doesn't have the same punch. Anyway, it's time for What's Up.
It's time for What's Up, yay!
We got a few different things we could hit up, but I think the big one, which we can just get in because we've been talking about later, is it's video game award season. So, the nominees and voting for the VGAs is open, and also the Golden Joystick Awards concluded.
Yes.
So, I figured we could run through the Golden Joysticks really quick. I didn't actually watch it because I think it was like over by the time I was like up and like around. Like literally, I like got up and started checking Twitter, and it was like, oh shit, all these awards are being announced. But you know, they did have a stream and an event. There was some stuff there. There's a great meme image of Brianna White, standing menacingly over
Ben Starr.
Yeah, Ben Starr, Clive's VA, which is great. Because I believe Ben was there as a presenter. But, yeah, I've got the compact. I'll have to find a different article to, like, find out all of our nominees. But the winners were, to run them down pretty quick. Your big overall winners were maybe a little surprising, but they have been turning it around. But Helldivers 2 blocked out a lot of awards. So still going very strong. And FF7 Rebirth blocked out a lot of awards. With Astrobot picking up a couple more, and a couple of very high-level awards going to some other games you may be expecting. And the thing I want to bring up is that I believe, according to our scientific research, the Golden Joysticks are entirely fan voting. So this is just all a public panel that decides these. So on the one hand, this means that, do not necessarily take these ideas as, like, absolute truth. This is just, majority rules type shit. But also, these award winners are probably going to be a little closer in touch with what the general public is thinking overall, as opposed to the video game awards we're going to talk about in a second, which are handled mostly by a panelist of judges from around the world. So that gets you a much more like directed and cosmopolitan look, but is obviously not always going to match popular sentiments, as seen by some nomination choices. But again, we'll get that in a minute. So to really quickly kind of speedrun some of these Golden Joystick Awards, Astrobot won Best Audio Design. Very well deserved. Game sounds great. Love what they do with the speaker. Back-to-back awards in this list for FF7 Rebirth for both Best Soundtrack and Best Storytelling. Very well-deserved awards there.
Yeah.
Again, the soundtrack is phenomenal. They just, again, the things they do with both playing the music straight and also subverting the music. I believe before I, like, literally, if you, like, scroll through our backlog of content, it's either in when we streamed FF7 Remake or maybe in some old What's-Ups. But at one point I was talking about Rebirth and I was like, I really hope they don't do the thing that will emotionally ruin my life where we just do the final Genova fight with just Aerith's theme blaring, and then what do they do to me?
They did it.
They did it. But then they turned it into a Genova remix, the most banger of Genova remixes, just to fuck with me more. Like, every boss theme in Rebirth is like a multi-movement epic that almost tells you the story of the fight inside of it. And sometimes that story is just like, hey, you know what's really cool? Battle on the Big Bridge. No. Hold my beer. You thought it was cool. What if it was cooler? Like, again, having also one of the best remixes of Battle on the Big Bridge ever in some side story shit that was, like, also completely over the top and great. Oh, no. So, yeah, very well deserved. And I'm glad it still won out with Best Storytelling. I should actually figure out if I can see who the nominees were as well, because I kind of want to see what the competition was. But, I know that at the time, I feel like when people were getting through it, there were parts of the story for Rebirth that were maybe a little contentious. Sorry, I'm going to type nominees into Google, so if I can see if I can actually get that part of the list. But yeah, okay, here's we go. So it was competing with 10,000 Resist, haven't heard of. Emio the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club, one of those Famicom Detective Club like visual novels I was talking about.
I will say, 1,000 Resist, I hear is really, really good.
Interesting. I don't think I've heard the name before, but that's good. I mean, I kind of assumed so. Other competition, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Yarp.
Got a decent number of noms. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which I think is a VR game, but that's one of those other weirds. And oddly enough, Tactical Breach Wizards got nominated for Best Storytelling. I really got to check out that game sometime when I have more time. God. But so, like, all of those I think were very, very solid writing candidates out there. And again, you remember, like, all the nominations were also, put through the ringer of, public nomination and voting. So, yeah, I'm glad Rebirth came out on top and took home some awards for that because, like I said, there were parts of that story that people were not as much of a fan of kind of some of the directions for it. I do think that we got a little better about the remakiness, like the self-awareness, as evidenced by the fact that we basically completely did away with the plot ghosts. Thank you. But I'm still glad to see it, win out an award. Best multiplayer game went to Helldivers 2. It was competing against Abiotic Factor, EA College Sports, The Finals, Tekken 8, and Sons of the Forest. So Sons of the Forest got a nomination for Best Multiplayer, yeah.
Huh.
I do think that Sons of the Forest did have its, official, full release, not early access anymore, technically, this year, so yeah.
That is true.
So yeah, no.
I wouldn't necessarily consider, Sons of the Forest, my first pick for, a multiplayer game, though. It has multiplayer.
I definitely feel like, because I believe the original Forest did not start with multiplayer, it was either added via mods first, or they decided to add it as a feature later. I think Sons was always built as a thing you can do with your friends, so, I think that is just part of the vibe. But definitely not going to stop people from nominating it. Yeah, I mean, it didn't win, so, I think it makes sense. Finals is a solid choice. That game was pretty fun. It's kind of funny to see Tekken 8 kind of cropped up in a few new places. I mean, yes, they do show up a couple times as themselves, but they are not nearly as much of a plot device as they were in Remake, the plot ghosts, which I think is for the better. That was a little, I think Lucky and I talked about this talking about Remake. The plot ghosts are a little too the the whispers are a little too on the nose in Remake. But let's see. Best visual design was won by Black Myth Wukong, which I think is fair. A fair choice to win because it is a game that has a lot of visual flair and a very striking style.
Mm-hmm.
It was against Astrobot, Herald Halibut, Metaphor ReFantazio, Sinuous Saga Hellblade 2, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. All of good nominees. I'm kind of surprised. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I'm too surprised Metaphor didn't win. Metaphor does kind of seem like it's very hit or miss with its visual flair. Like, some people really like it. Other people think that some parts of it are, like, too busy or, like, hurt their eyes.
No, I... Believe it or not, as much as I like Rise of the Metaphor, I'm not actually a big fan of its visual desigin. Like, their character design, it's fine, it's great, I love it, but their actual, like, a lot of their backgrounds and most of their menus and stuff, I think aren't actually that great.
Yeah, the menus are, like, a little over-designed, and I've also heard some people complain about some of the, like, visual effects as well. Like, maybe a few too many particles for their personal taste and stuff. So, yeah, like I said, a little surprised, but not too surprised it didn't win.
Yeah.
Since out of the panel of just us two, I'm the one who's played it. Space Marine 2 definitely deserves the nom, but I think it's fair that it didn't win. Space Marine 2 is a game where there's enough, like, machine power that it can actually bring to life the scale of the 40k universe. Like, you know, there are multiple levels which take place in these, like, city-sized cathedrals that you've seen in the background art of this game that came out in 1987, you know, the war game. So, like, they did a really good job of actually, like, bringing that, you know, to screen, as it were, and also having really good, you know, design for a lot of the guys. But they are still bound in some cases by the design language of 40k itself, which does mean that, you know, some of the vehicles and stuff, and even some of the character models are, you know, based off of sculpts that are, you know, little resonant plastic spacemen that are supposed to be, like, you know, 4 inches tall on your tabletop. So they do the best they can, but you know, it's limited by the source material, but very solid. Wow, they had a lot of nominations for best indie. I'm not even gonna list them all out here. Balatro won.
I think that's well deserved. I've heard a lot of. Like I said, I haven't played Balatro yet, but I hear a lot of people say good things on it.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes on sale ever, or you have $15 free, like I said, I literally bought my copy up with PlayStation Stars points because I was told they were going away, and I was like, shit. But it's spoilers for the VGA noms. Balatro is one of the Game of the Year nominees. The amount of people on, like, social media who have gone, what the fuck is this poker game doing nominated as Game of the Year? They've gone away, played it, and came back and said, sorry, I was not familiar with your game, is, like, non-zero. Yeah, somebody literally posted a tweet like that. Yes, no, it's the funniest shit I've ever seen, Rick. Just, like, so many people are like, how does this game deserve to be Game of the Year? And they play it, and they're just like, oh, I get it. Maybe it's not my pick for Game of the Year, but I get it.
Yeah, no.
I think I've mentioned this before, but by the way, one guy designed Balatro, one game designer, but the guy who makes Balatro is, like, an uncanny genius of roguelike design because he found the perfect simplistic core mechanic of build poker hands, and then did all the weirdest, wackiest roguelite, you know, custom run shit you can do with, like, the different decks and jokers and other shit you can run into, and it's just, like, no, it's just a good all-around game. They also had some nominees for Best Self-Published Indie Game, which includes a lot of fine selections you might be familiar with, but the one that won was Another Crab's Treasure, which is the Crab Souls-like.
Yep.
Which is
I've heard it's done good.
Yeah.
I most remember it because it came out the same day as Stellar Blade, which I find hilarious.
Yeah, it was a very funny case of, like, not intentionally, but, you know, dueling memes. But yeah, that was a game that was very well received. Still Playing award for console and PC. This feels slightly unfair, but it went to Minecraft, oddly enough.
I mean, it's popular, but this is also what you get when you get people who just vote when you vote with numbers.
I mean, literally, I'm going to list out the nominees for PC and console. All of these games I have heard probably too much about. Your options included Apex Legends, Counter-Strike 2, EA Sports Football Club, FC, because they can't say FIFA anymore, Dota 2, Fortnite, GTA Online, Minecraft, Naraka Blade Point, Roblox, Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, Warframe. Like, admittedly, like, storied, honorable, venerable games, you know? Show me a collection of, how many entries is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, show me a lineup of, like, 12 guys in suits and just replace their faces with, like, all those games' logos, and I'm just like, yeah, you right. But still, like, nothing new there. Winner for Still Playing Award Mobile was Honkai Star Rail. And that one, like, I can't actually be against Honkai there. One, because it's not Genshin Impact, so we did get a little bit of change up. But also, like, the other nominees are, like, so that kind of, like you said, that numbers game value. You got shit like Call of Duty Warzone Mobile and Monopoly Go in here. Marvel Snap is on this list, which I do believe is, you know, very well made, but it's definitely also one of those. Somehow, maybe I should try Star Wars Hunters, but that got nominated also. Subway Surfers is on here, which has to be a meme. You know, like, also, who the fuck is playing PUBG Battlegrounds Mobile in 2024? Y'all still doing that? Play better games. There's better mobile games out there. You can play them. Play Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. But yeah, no. Like, again, another, like, who's who of stuff going on there, but yeah, very, very surprising to see. Let's see. Studio of the Year went to Arrowhead, developers of Helldivers 2. Good for them. They were, let me see, whom were they up against? Okay, 11-Bit Studios, Capcom, actually no, Studio of the Year wasn't Arrowhead, they got a different award, sorry. Team Asobi won Studio of the Year.
I was about to say, it's like, hang on.
Yeah, sorry, I've got some lists where, like, shit is not bolded correctly and other stuff. Okay, yeah, no, Team Asobi won. They were against Arrowhead. I do believe Arrowhead won another award, but they were also talking about being nominated, so Team Asobi, I think, definitely deserves this a lot.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
It's a very strong one for them. Kind of coming out of nowhere. Yeah, let me see. We'll follow this list instead. Got a separate list here. PC Game of the Year went to Satisfactory. That's a game that we may want to keep an eye out for, Lucky. It's another one of those, has been in early access for forever, but just got its 1.0 release this year. It is a, like, 3D, you know, alien world exploring game, but the point is to build factories. So it's kind of like Factorio, but I think it's less insane.
Yes, I do believe that is what people have.
Yeah. Satisfactory is a game that people who are not accountants and engineers can play. But yeah, it's a 3D, you know, Explorer World game, but your intent is to build factories to, you know, mine and refine resources and shoot them into space. So that you too someday may be shot into space. It was nominated against Animal Balatro, Frostpunk 2, Tactical Breach Wizards, and UFO 50. All of these games I have heard positively of. But definitely to let you know where console game of the year is, though, your nominees were Astrobot, Dragon's Dogma 2, FF7 Rebirth, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and Helldivers 2, which won that. Which is kind of funny to me, given the, like, PlayStation side kerfuffle on PC. But I guess, you know, being on console, you already needed all that shit. So, like, the player base was different. But out of these, I'm pretty sure, you know, no, not quite half. But a couple of them are also available on PC. And we know for a fact that Rebirth will also eventually be on PC. They haven't announced the PC port yet, but it will come. But good for Echoes of Wisdom to get out there. And I'm glad Prince of Persia: Lost Crown got nominated. That game was, like, very well received very early in the year as a big classic throwback, but unfortunately it was, like, produced as the last gasp of a sub-studio from Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has just had so many troubles that I do believe, like, that specific sub-studio got, like, shut down and the developers were either shuffled off or let go. Shout out to Dragon's Dogma 2 ending up here, though. Most Wanted game, once again, they've got a fuck ton of these, so I'm not going to list them all out. And this, because this is a conversation we're going to have later in the Video Game Awards, but the winner for that at the Golden Joysticks was Grand Theft Auto 6. Grand Theft Auto 6 was competing against, I want to say 15 or 20 other games. So it's a big category in the joysticks. Let me count. Yeah, it's 20 full in there. So, with a popular vote, that probably did that little thing we like to call splitting the vote. Because, like, honestly, out of these options, yeah, you've got, Ghost of Yote and Death Stranding 2 here, all the same shit that you see on the VGA side. But you've also got, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Hollow Knight Silk Song is on this list, which is fucking cheating.
No. Why'd they put that on there?
I think because it was probably nominated by fans. Deadlock is on this list, which is kind of silly because Deadlock is like the least closed beta of all time. Civ 7 is on this list, which is good though, and so is Clair Obscure Expedition 33. Good for them.
Those are fair, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, Mafia Old Country also probably a good pick, but it's just like the list is too big, so of course GTA 6 won. So we'll have to see how the final clock is. We've already established that best visual design was Wukong, best storytelling was Rebirth, best multiplayer went to Helldivers 2, best audio was Astrobot. Best game expansion, which my joke when I saw this announcement, I just quoted this, was, look, Video Game Awards judges, it's that easy. But your options for best game expansion were Alan Wake 2 Expansion Pass, Destiny 2 Final Shape, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, Shadow of the Erdtree, which won, World of Warcraft War Within, and God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. I feel a little bad that 2 Blizzard titles made it on this list, and Dawn Trail is not on this list, but we've talked about before, like, Dawn Trail is a little contentious and has some rough edges to the story, so I can understand why people did not necessarily vote it with their full heart. But yeah, Shadow of Erdtree won because obviously it's the best game expansion that came out this year. You already talked about best soundtrack, but to remind people what it was going against was Highland Song, Astrobot, Haunty, Silent Hill 2, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Kind of surprised Metaphor didn't make this list, but it may have missed the voting window a little. I don't know when exactly the joysticks were taking nominations.
Wait, wasn't Metaphor in an earlier one?
That's right. It did make visual design. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised that more people thought of SMT5 than Metaphor. Like, I'm not going to assume that Metaphor or Vengeance has a worse soundtrack, quote unquote, than Metaphor, but it does seem weird because people have been very positive towards Metaphor's soundtrack.
No, Metaphor's soundtrack is very good.
Yeah. So that one is a little surprising to me that they.
I mean, it's Pika Shinji Meguro.
Yes.
Who worked on 3, 4, and 5 Persona?
And has worked on several iconic anime soundtracks as well. Yeah, no. So yeah, that one surprises me a little. Also, another great category to just have: best early access game. Your options are Enshrouded, Deep Rock Galactic, Survivor, Hades 2, Manor Lords, Pal World, and Lethal Company, which won.
Yeah, I can see that. Honestly, Lethal Company did fucking game busters, especially in fucking content creator spaces.
Yeah, and it's a game that, because it is moddable, still has a long tail. I still see people playing Lethal Company to this day. And like, I think this is fair to blob in some stuff. Manor Lords is a game that's very well received, but is still in early access. Hades 2 is obviously a huge banger, so they're still in their like long early access title. How do you feel about Enshrouded on this list, Lucky? You've actually played it.
Enshrouded's okay. Like, I will say it is a good and early access game because they are putting out regular updates and they are taking a lot of fan feedback and community input on what they should do next. And they do have such things as roadmaps, one of them do. But unfortunately, Enshrouded, I think falls into this pile of generic survival crafters. And while I don't want to say anything against like generic survival crafters, because I love survival crafters, I love base building and stuff like that. But those kind of games are almost a dime a dozen. Like,
there are a lot of them. We've rattled off the name of several other ones in this very episode.
Yeah. So no, like, well, I do think it like I don't think it necessarily. I think it deserves its nom because I think it is a fun game and I enjoy playing it. But I would not vote for an actual winner. Nay.
And I feel like out of this list, like, its main competition in the survival crafty zone is Pal World, which is doing a very different vibe, but is also actually an open world survival crafty game, just with, knockoff Pokemon in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fact that so few of those got in this block was kind of interesting. We're gonna speed through best gaming hardware pretty quickly. Most of these are like, as usual, like graphics cards or like mice and stuff. The one that won was the Steam Deck OLED, which again, fucking no duh.
I feel like that's slightly cheating.
I mean, one of the other options in here was NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Super, so like...
Why?
I mean, it's a dedicated piece of gaming hardware. I strongly suspect this category may be sponsored, though. Or stealth sponsored, perhaps. Anyway, best game trailer. These are all also pretty good. Your options were the Caravan Sandwich, that's with a T-Witch, launch trailer. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, State of Play announced trailer. That was a zinger. Your winner was the Helldivers 2 Fight for Freedom Begins launch trailer. That was also phenomenal.
I don't know if it's better. Though.
Better than Death Stranding 2, I don't know, but I definitely feel like the Helldivers 2 trailer really like hit the internet hard though.
Well, yeah, because it was the follow up to a meme game that let you be weird.
And also, I think just their trailer department really hit their vibes in a very compact level, because I'm pretty sure Fight for Freedom Begins is basically the game opening movie that plays every time you boot up the game. So like. It opens with a strong meme of, no, sweet liberty, no. Like, Kojima's a great editor. There are some zingers in his trailers. The Death Stranding trailers are usually more of like a slow burn of like, what the fuck is going on? My god, does that robot have an electric guitar? But like, Helldivers 2 had a very strong punch and just kind of kept it going, and like... I'm gonna be honest, Lucky. We may be too intellectual for the general public. We may have too much of a critical, deep, artistic understanding of the gaming medium. We see a Hideo Kojima trailer and go, "Oh, what mysteries await me?"
Oh no!
A lot of general people are probably just gonna be fucking confused. Why does this robot have a katana and sound like a baby?
Oh no! I'm becoming too elitist. Fuck! I gotta get me a beret and a cigarette now.
Nah. Pour your champagne. Remember, if it's not from the Champagne region of France, it's merely sparkling wine. Your other options were Kingmaker's official announcement trailer, the narrator reveal trailer for Civ 7, very funny, and Plucky Squire's launch trailer, that was also pretty good. So, they have best video game adaptation, and I want to bring this up because this is very important. I know that a year or two ago, the Video Game Awards launched their version of this, which obviously included stuff like Arcane and Cyberpunk Edgerunners, banger years. This year has not been a banger year, as you will see by they have 6 nominees for this block, so you will see by what things made the cut for the Golden Joysticks. Your nominees were the Borderlands movie, the Halo TV show Season 2, the Knuckles TV show, which is a semi-oof, Like a Dragon Yakuza, again, kind of a weird one. I don't know if I would call it a best adaptation of anything, even though I did have a decent time with it. The Tomb Raider Legend of Lara Croft, which is another thing that I think is okay. And the winner, obviously, the Fallout TV show. Duh. The only one of these that I think can be, without any asterisks, said to be good.
Wait, the second season of Arcane didn't the second season of Arcane get in there?
No, and that's probably because the second season of Arcane has been rolling out in parts.
Oh.
So I don't know if the new part was out when they were doing the nominations for this. So yeah, Arcane didn't make the cut. And that's like, again, if Arcane didn't exist, literally, I think the Video Game Awards would have to put Borderlands or Halo on their nominee board. Like, that's how tight a cut we are. So, like, it's a little bit of an awkward year.
Man, if we only waited like another month, Secret Level would have came out, and I'm pretty sure everyone would have voted that.
Yeah, hopefully Secret Level has enough staying power that people vote it for next year. Because there's going to be some good shit in there.
Oh yeah,
I've seen some of the trailers. They've got going. Like the Armored Core one looks really sick. And a lot of people are. It's kind of interesting how like prescient it was, because I think they announced that it was going to include 40K like right around when Space Marine 2 was gonna drop. So now that they actually showed the trailer showing some of the 40K stuff, people are like super hype because 40K is so big in the mind space right now. Like,
also, 40K doesn't have a lot of animated projects. Actually, I don't think it has any animated projects.
Well, okay, so funny story about that. This is a complete tangent, but that is Games Workshop's own stupid fault. So, 2 things. 1, despite the fact that, and I have this on good advisement from people in the tabletop industry who, like, go to conventions, but, Games Workshop is, like, one of the top 10 companies, period, in the UK. Like, they are a significant portion of the economy of the UK right now, which may not be saying a whole lot, but is still true. They still act like, woe is me, we're just little old boys from England. We need to charge you more money for your little plastic spaceman. So, honestly, it's probably why they're a top 10 company, but Games Workshop are masters of parting you from parting fools from their money, I should say, which includes some of us. So they have their own, like, inclusive website membership content thing called Warhammer Plus. I do believe they put out a few animated products there. They've done some animated shorts and trailers for Army stuff, but they don't really do it as a big main-time medium. The problem is that when they decided to go forward with this Warhammer Plus like streaming thing, they updated their like FanWorks like statements and basically forbade all forms of fan animation. First of all, that gave them a fuck ton of bad press, because it killed off, like, several favorite, like, YouTube content creator series and stuff, and called into question a lot of other shit. But also, I assume, kind of soured them to the, amount of, I don't know, freelance artists in animation they could hire. So yeah, I genuinely don't think that they put out a lot of shorts because they've kind of fucked themselves over, because there was, like, one guy who made a really phenomenal fan series named Astartes. If you have not seen it, you should look it up. I believe it is still available on the internet somewhere because that guy was so good that G-Dub hired him. But yeah, no, like, they don't usually get a lot of, you're correct, they don't put out a lot of media in that area, and it's probably their own gosh danged fault. Similarly, I don't know if the, like, Amazon 40K TV series is ever going anywhere because they, like, tapped Henry Cavill for that, but he says that he's not afraid to say in interviews because he's Henry fucking Cavill of like, yeah, this project's not going anywhere right now. Like, the directorial can't decide what the fuck we're doing. Not that, actually, no, G-Dub, hire me. I'm sure I'll be cheaper than some of the things you're gonna do. I can solve this problem for you super easy. I'd like to call it, a Caiaphas Cain series. That way you can mix comedy with seriousness. And also, a decent amount of the time, you can use human actors. That or adapt the Dark Heresy novels, because again, those are mostly humans. You're gonna probably, if you want to be cheap, gonna want to either go full animated or you're gonna want to avoid Xenos and Daemons, because those are gonna have to be all CG, and I am sure you are going to pick the cheapest ass outsourced AI motherfuckers to animate, because I understand you, Games Workshop. I understand how you work. Like I said, I've been back to working on my Warhammer Fail Betrayal like slideshow. I found it very interesting that when I was updating my information for the latest edition of their rulebooks, the 10th edition of the tabletop war game, their like core rulebook codex, doesn't credit a primary author on the cover. They just generically credit authors inside. That's a thing they used to do. Every rulebook used to, until I think 9th edition, have a primary author credited on the cover. But no. Games Workshop made this. So yeah, no, like, I will be, to be fair to G-Dub, I do think I haven't heard of them dipping into the AI art pool at any point. Probably because most of their art is done in service of, again, turning things into little plastic kits you can build. But like, genuinely, I should have screenshotted this. Yesterday or Wednesday, I saw a YouTube video in my recommendeds, which was somebody being like, I can't believe how much, the difference here, and it's somebody holding up a Warhammer kit for like a single squad of guys for like $35 and holding up a fistful of sprues for Gunpla for $15 in their other hand. I didn't actually watch it because I'm not in either of those hobbies, but I'm like, yeah, that tracks. No, like, it is amazing to me what, despite the fact that I think they have a similar like stranglehold on the market and IP, like, just how much more generous Bandai is with the Gunpla hobby than G-Dub is with 40K, despite the fact that I believe they are in very similar, like, levels of, like, almost monopolistic hold on the collective unconsciousness. Because, like, there are other mecha franchises, and I do believe there are other, like, modeler kits out there for equivalent of Gunpla, but they're just not as popular. There are other war games besides 40K, but nobody's quite as big. It's wild. Anyway, we got deep in the tangent there, but I suspect that the short in secret level for 40K will probably be pretty cool. Because, like I said, the guy who did Astartes got hired on at G-Dubs, so hopefully they've had him doing something. Best lead performer. Your options are, first of all, at the front of the list, Cody Christian is Cloud Strife, the winner. Very well deserved for lead performer. Like, he's doing a lot of legwork. Dare I say, a lot of squats. A lot of heavy lifting as Cloud.
I can't comment on these because I said I play Rebirth in Japanese, so...
Yeah. But yeah, I've played Remake and Rebirth both in English. And I know you felt positive towards the English cast when we streamed Remake, because I did that in English as well. But yeah, you haven't actually gone through with an English run. Very solid. Kaiji Tang as Ichiban Kasuga in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Humberly Gonzalez is Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws. So I guess shout out to her. That's multiple noms she's gotten for her performance, despite the fact that Outlaws is, again, kind of a contentious game. I think literally this week, Ubisoft announced they're doing a big patch title update where they are removing mandatory stealth. So that game is clearly kind of doesn't know what the fuck it's doing with itself.
I don't think it's necessarily not that doing, but Ubisoft has been, over like the past, I want to say like 3 months, has been taking a hard look at its products and is designed to do, different things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the feedback with Shadows and the pushback on the Outlaws have made them go, okay, something we are doing is clearly not working.
Yeah, and I think that is fair, because I was going to say that, I wouldn't... Assassin's Creed but Star Wars is not necessarily something I'd sign up for,
Mm-hmm.
At least maybe not with the overlay of Outlaws. What Outlaws should feel more like, and what I think it was probably originally pitched like, is it should feel like Uncharted but Star Wars, which is a much better brew, and it's very sad that I don't think Amy Hennig ever got to actually make that product, but, that's the game I think people would want. You want a cinematic action-adventure game, whereas Outlaws did end up leaning much more heavily towards the stealth, and like I said, they're demandatorying the stealth, so maybe that will make it feel a little more cinematic. I don't remember if I mentioned Luke Roberts as James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2, Melina Juergens as Senua in Hellblade 2, and Sonequa Martin Green as Alvilda in Asgard's Wrath 2. That's a VR game, so I can't comment on that one. But all in all, seems like very, very solid collection. And then we have Best Supporting Performer. We have Abby Greenland and Helen Golan as the Furies in Hellblade 2. Brianna White as Aerith Gainsborough in FF7 Rebirth, the winner. Very, very big ups for Brianna. Again, in English, Rebirth is the one that's all about Aerith, I would think it's fair to say. Other characters obviously have very big points, but the game does a lot with foreshadowing and dramatic irony and build up with the fact that the audience knows where it's ending, kind of thing. So Brianna killed it. Dawn M. Bennett as Aegis in Persona 3 Reload, also very deserved nom. Genuinely maybe a snub that nobody from the P3R cast was nominated for the Video Game Awards. Spoilers. Deborah Wilson as Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad. Not sure that was the greatest reach. I guess I'm sure her performance was probably alright, but that game is literally on sale for $5 right now, if you want to buy Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I think the formerly $100 version, Super Deluxe, is available for $10. So that should just let you know how we're going. Matt Berry as Herbert, and Thank Goodness You're Here. That's a good nomination. Thank Goodness You're Here is a very funny, silly little game. If you've never seen it, it's not really a point and click, but it's a, kind of wander around story adventure game, set in a kind of quintessential, remote English town. It's very British. It literally gives you a language option in the startup, which is hey, do you understand British slang? And you can be I don't know what you're talking about, and cool, ain't it? So it has a very funny, good voice cast as well. And Neve McIntosh as Suze in Still Wakes the Deep. Don't know anything about that one. Streamer's Choice Award, which I assume was voted on by streamers, went to Chained Together. Again, kind of no duh. For streaming games, Chained Together is very excellent. A game that you will probably never catch me and Lucky streaming, because I would like to have this business partnership and friendship continue for the foreseeable future. And Chained Together is one of those games that you gotta approach very carefully as a collab. Breakthrough Award went to Balatro, also seems very deserved.
Big
and
moment.
The Critics' Choice Award went to Helldivers 2, which I did find pretty interesting, but good on them. Because I do believe that was not an open nomination voting process. That was done by polling a panel of judges. And then, let's see, did we catch everything else besides the big one? Yeah, I think so. Joystick Awards Ultimate Game of the Year winner was Black Myth Wukong, and it was against another big batch of titles, actually. Let me count them up. It's another 12er. So Wukong won out over Animalwell, Astrobot, Balatro, Black Ops 6, Dragon Age Veilguard made the cut here. Very surprising. FF7 Rebirth, Helldivers 2, Metaphor ReFantazio is on this list as well. Satisfactory, Silent Hill 2, and Tekken 8. So a very broad selection of Game of the Years at 12 noms. But I do think that, like, Wukong had a very explosive popularity, I want to say. Like, it blew up real big its opening weekend and then kind of, like...
Died.
Yeah, saying cratered, like, sounds a little loaded, but like most single-player, intense action RPG type games, a lot of people bought into the super mega giga hype, and then they realized that they're never going to get good, and they dropped the game. Or they did get good and naturally completed it, and I don't think they've had any, like, content updates or DLC or anything announced, so it's a kind of game that, like, you play it, and then you're done with it, you know? So it had both, I think, the natural fade off, and then also the, like, hype inversion of just like, oh, this game's blowing up, it's #1 on Steam, what the fuck is it? Oh shit, it's hard. So, that said, I think that does mean that for a completely popular vote option, especially once again with the vote being split quite so wide, a legitimate winner. You know, definitely had the number of people who bought it and played it to secure a win over some of these other games, and I think is fair, especially because I know that there were some people who were like, oh, if Black Myth Wukong doesn't win Game of the Year, we're gonna riot. Well, you got one Game of the Year award. Good for you. Still, like I said, don't know, like, I think those people were a little too full of themselves, but obviously they had enough, sorry, it's me trying to type out video game awards, but the game awards out there, but they're it got a nomination. I don't know if it was necessarily going to be like super mega big overall, because like I said, it did not have a crystal clear like rating on Metacritic, you know, and had some other contention. And we talked about this, like, a decent number of people saw this game kind of like creep up out of nowhere and are like, is this like a psyop? Is this an industry plant, as they say? Is this nepotism? No, it's... By the way, I do want to throw this out there, completely unrelated, but the conversation around quote-unquote industry plants is a little weird to me. Like, most of those people are not actually industry quote-unquote plants. They're just nepo babies. There is a difference. Like, one is not a psyop. It's just privilege. But yeah, no, I also don't think that Wukong is technically actually a psyop. It's just, yeah, no shit, a major, like the first major double or triple A video game release out of mainland China that was super heavily marketed in mainland China blew up in mainland China. And in case you don't know, there's a lot of fucking people in China.
There are a lot of fucking people in China.
Very big population, you know. But that brings us to the Video Game Awards. I'm going to read the list of nominees probably in reverse order, which means we start at all the esports shit and we skip it.
Woo.
Still don't care. And also, once again, says a lot, I think, about the esports arena that basically the same 4 games are nominated every year. I guess, you know, that's why they're sports, but whatever. This brings us to then first, Content Creator of the Year, which is almost literally who... But there's just one little name in here that I think astonished a lot of people. And I do also have the byline for what the award represents, which is something I feel like we discuss the hell out of every year because sometimes it's weird. But Content Creator of the Year for a streamer or content creator has made an important and positive impact on the community in 2024. Nominees are Queso, I think this is pronounced Ilojuan, Techno Gamers with a Z, Typical Gamer, no space, and Usada Pecora.
Really? Pecora made in there?
Yes. If you had not seen, yes, Pecora is in the list. It is not a meme. It is not a joke. She is an actual, honest-to-God nominee and Content Creator of the Year. And I hope we get the VTuber back-to-back, because Iron Mouse won last year, which is great. Surprised literally her. But yeah, Pecora is nominated. And by the way, I want to throw this out there. This is astonishing because remember, the way these awards work is these are nominated by panelists from everywhere. So this means that not only did, presumably, all the outlets in Japan who were polled go to bat for Pecora, but a non-zero number of outlets in other countries or regions did as well. And it is a little surprising. Obviously, I'm pretty sure, as evidenced by the fact that for unrelated reasons, Jeff Keighley has been reminding everybody that he does not actually control the nomination process. He and his organization picks the outlet of judges, but they get him the nominations, which is why you can sometimes have errors like Sifu was in Best Fighting Game one year, and Dave the Diver was in Best Indie, even though it was published by and developed by Nexon, which is a huge publisher. Like, the actual video game awards mostly just like executes on, you know, the creatives around it. You know, they don't necessarily editorialize, but a lot of jokes have been made that Pekora got nominated because she's Hideo Kojima's favorite content creator. It is known. And actually, yes, by the way, in case you somehow didn't know that, yes, Kojima likes Pekora. He's seen a couple of her streams and talked about her on like his podcast and shit. I can't remember if like she was ever like invited down to the Koji Pro offices, or maybe he popped by HoloLive or something one time. But with Kojima, you never know. So obviously, because everybody knows that Jeff Keighley is Hideo Kojima's #1 fan, you know, a lot of people are trying to insinuate that he snuck her in somehow. Again, don't think that's actually possible, but it's very funny. Also, though, Pekora was part of the, like, not the entirety, but was part of the collab HoloLive did with the LA Dodgers, which obviously got a lot of people exposed to HoloLive and VTubers, especially because, you know, the Dodgers did go on to win the whole thing. It's that VTuber power, baby. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, like, I still think it's very surprising, and like I said, I hope she fucking wins, just because it will be so funny.
No, I'm for it. Like I said, I'm not in tune with the VTuber space as many others, but no, I love Pekora. She's great.
Yeah. And then, most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. This is slightly bullshit based on, honestly, a couple of these nominations. But the article I am reading this list from also does have a good reason to put it. But your nominees are Death Stranding 2 On the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds. So, with the text of the award, demonstrably illustrated potential, Grand Theft Auto hasn't demonstrably illustrated shit. They have one teaser trailer. There was, I forgot about this when we were talking about it last night, and I remembered later, there was a big, like, leak about GTA 6 that came out, like, just before they dropped the trailer. I think that's why Rockstar was like, okay, we'll show you the trailer we're working on. We have actually been working on this project, you know. But that's not official. That said, this article does remind people that, like, the 90-second trailer did break records. It is one of, like, YouTube's most viewed videos. So, like, yes, it was certainly a moment in time. GTA 5 was also a big moment in time. So, like, obviously recognizing it is, I guess, valid. I do kind of hope it doesn't win, though, because as we both have said at this point, and I strongly agree with you, Lucky, it's only got a 90-second teaser trailer. Like, what does that mean? What does that communicate about pushing the gaming medium forward?
No, like Death Stranding 2, I think, is good. Probably also should not win because I said, like, Kojima's gonna be playing this one close to the chest until we're like a year fucking out. And he's got
like,
other
honestly,
projects.
yeah, that one's a little loosey-gooseier as well, but when I read that, and then I read, you know, Death Stranding 2's listed immediately under it, I'm like, okay, maybe not demonstrably illustrated, but definitely I think you just hedge your bets that Kojima can push the gaming medium forward, you know? But that is riding on his coattails a lot, you're right.
No, like I said, I think I talked about this the other day, and I still banked him. I definitely think Monster Hunter Wilds should win this one, because they've been doing, like, especially as we were only a couple months out, they've been doing a lot to, like, push news and information out of what's coming out, and the fact that they've had two, well, no, it was only one, but it was broken up into two, but they actually had, like, an open beta for people to get in, try the game, try new systems, see how everything felt.
Yeah.
And, you know, give feedback, both good and ill, on that.
Which also, by the way, was once again part of a huge content mindspace push. I cannot tell you the amount of streamers and creators, some of whom have never played a Monster Hunter before, were out there streaming the beta, you know, showing their shit off on Twitter. So, like, I also genuinely think Wilds has a decent chunk, especially because remember that a majority of this vote's still going to be with press outlets and, like industry panelists who are going to be having more chances to get early hands-on with Wilds because it's so close to coming out, you know? So I genuinely think Wilds has a real shot, and I also hope it wins because I think it's very deserved, because Capcom is a very strong studio. They've been doing a lot of good stuff lately, and Wilds is the only one of these games that I think has a release date. Like, that's another thing I was, like, talking about demonstrably illustrated. Isn't Prime 4 also just still in development hell? They just keep showing trailers? Like, I know everybody wants that game to come out, but also it has been in limbo for years. You know, I guess that adds to the actual text of most anticipated, but still. Ghost of Yotei does also only have one trailer, but they showed a little bit of their ideas for, like, gameplay elements and stuff in it, and showed that they are, like, actually moving their, like, systems forward by, like, including new weapons and tricks. So, like...
Honestly, I want to say, like, also the Ghost of Yotei trailer was stylish.
Yes, it really showed off the cinematic vision, I think, that Sucker Punch has.
Yeah, no, and, like, that's the thing with, like, GTA 6 trailers, like, it was just a trailer of you doing GTA, of people being GTA.
They just went back to their old well, which is like, hey, we're back in, was it Vice City is the Florida stand-in?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so, like, we're just back in the, you know, I mean, I'll say it straight up because I've lived close to there before. Hey, we photo-scanned Miami, so we just put Miami things there. And sure, they included some stuff that if you're not from Florida, you might not expect. Those of you out there may not realize that there are indeed rednecks who go mudding in monster trucks in Florida, but it's true. I've lived next to some of those people, broken bread with them, etc. So, like, yeah, but no, it really was just like, hey, we digitized the state of Florida. And I gotta tell you, for me, that's not that exciting. I've lived here like 20 years. All I gotta do to see that shit is open my window and then close it because I don't want to open my windows. So, like, yeah, it's, like I said, definitely, like, I do think that the populace is captured in this hype because, oh, you know, it's only a 90-second trailer. Could be anything. Just remember, you've fallen for this trap before, Internet. Don't go believing GTA 6 will cure cancer or bring your dad back with that milk, cause world peace, end world hunger. It's not going to do it. It's going to be GTA 6. You're going to steal some shit. You're going to drive cars. You're probably going to blow a lot of stuff up. You're going to be chased and gunned down in the water by SWAT teams, even though that's not how that fucking works. But they'll do it anyway because they don't want you to be able to escape underwater or some dumb bullshit. And it'll probably come with an online component that will siphon your wallet. But yeah, no, like I said, my personal push is definitely for Wilds on this award. Best adaptation, which, like I said, got a little dicey. The billing of this award is recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. Their nominees are Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon Yakuza, and Tomb Raider: Legend of Lara Croft, the Netflix series. This is another case where, like, I'm glad people are actually, like, went enough to bat for Like a Dragon Yakuza to nominate it. It probably shouldn't win. Like I said, authentically, sometimes, faithfully, definitely not. Like, definitely was doing an adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, cool for them to be nominated. Probably doesn't deserve the W here. This is going to be a slug out between Arcane and Fallout, and I'm going to bet Arcane's going to win again because of recency bias.
Yeah, no. Also, because it's in the League spaces, people are still way too into League for my taste.
It's such a funny thing where, like, people are so into the concept of League, but we are truly in a state where loads of people don't want to play League of Legends. Like, it's so funny that, like, people are like, oh, this is really interesting. The setting's really good. Oh, it's League of Legends? When are they going to come out with another TV series? Like, nobody who's not already playing League wants to play League. Yeah, Legendary says it in our patron chat right now. As somebody who likes Arcane, never played a second League of Legends, never will. That's not what Riot wants to happen, I think, but that's what most people seem to concur on. But yeah, I think it's going to be Arcane again, because I think their only other serious competition is the Fallout TV series, and I think that was too far away.
No, again, I am once again slightly sad that we didn't get that we won't be able to do have Secret Level, and because when is that? December what?
Oh yeah, that's true. December what? Secret Level animated series. Oh, by the way, actually, about animated anthologies, Disney just announced they're doing a third season of Star Wars Visions. Trigger is back on tap.
Nice.
They showed Trigger's logo in that collection. Yeah, it's because they used a lot of studios that weren't anime studios. RIP. I still haven't seen it as well. They did have a couple in there, but they were out there a little. Release date of 15 shorts. Scheduled to release worldwide December 10th.
All right, so we're a couple weeks out.
Yeah. And they've confirmed we've got shorts for Armored Core, Concord, God of War. The Concord one's going to be so funny. Crossfire. There's going to be a D&D short that's going to be really interesting. Exodus, Honor of Kings. A Mega Man short, which I'm going to probably eat up. well, Amazon. I guess Amazon is contributed to this series, so I guess it makes sense that they got a new world in there. Pac-Man. They're listing now, by the way, at least on the Wikipedia, God of War is separate from the generic PlayStation short we've got, so we may be getting different things there. Sifu, Spelunky, Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, and specifically, I do believe they are saying it's a Space Marine 2 related short. But yeah, a Warhammer short. So that's best adaptation. And yeah, like I said, I really hope that that everybody remembers Secret Level when the next nomination phase comes around, because that's going to be a big one. And honestly, depending on how stuff shakes out, might still be a strong contender, because I think the only thing we know about they're going to have to fight over is possibly I'm pretty sure the second season of Last of Us TV is going to come out next year.
Well, we also got Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I think...
Ooh, that's also true. Yeah, that's another one that's been nominated pretty consistently. That's another one that's December, I think. Honestly, no matter how good Secret Level is, because it's an anthology series, my money would probably be on Sonic 3 in that fight. Just because, they've done the fucking meme. We have Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog.
That is such a powerful thing. You have Idris Elba as Knuckles and fucking Keanu Reeves as fucking Shadow.
Though, hey, funnily enough, Keanu is in both, because Keanu Reeves is also starring in the fucking Armored Core short. I was actually thought it might be a fucking Cyberpunk short when I saw that the first hand. I was like, yo, are we going to get, Johnny Silverhand backstory? No. It's just Keanu's going to be Johnny Silverhand, but Armored Core. Oh, which is also, by the way, not that surprising if you actually know. Johnny was a Panzer boy before he became a rocker boy. He drove tanks. Yeah, Jim Carrey is Eggman. No, it's crazy. So best multiplayer game for outstanding online multiplayer series and gameplay design, including co-op and massively multiplayer, irrespective of genre or platform. Which is funny because I think a lot of these are mostly conventional multiplayers, though admittedly some are co-op focused. Actually, no. Tekken 8 made this list. So one of your nominees is Tekken 8, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, and 40K Space Marine 2. This is a tough one. Because we're only focusing on the multiplayer part, but generally, Black Ops 6, the general vibes people are getting is COD is back, we're so back. Helldivers 2 was a massive fucking phenomena at the start of the year and has clawed back a lot of their player losses with their ongoing updates.
But they did kind of take a couple of big L's though.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't know for sure.
Especially with and like I said, there was a lot of negativity around like their constant nerfs, the constant bugs.
And that is still steadily ongoing because, well, they said they were going to look forward. They were planning on it. They have still not, as far as I know, developed a public beta testing realm. That is on their list to do, but Arrowhead's hype has truly outpaced their dev team size, so they can't keep up with it. I know you haven't played it all since they launched it. I also haven't played it all since they actually finished the Democratic Space Station. Mm-hmm. It's finished now. And you have the ability to get extras, but there are some bugs. One of them is you can do orbital barrages.
Hit yourself.
Well, so you won't shoot you because it's designed to have an exclusion zone around the player. Problem: exclusion zones don't overlap, so other people don't count. So technically, other people's barrages centered on them can shoot you. So yeah, you can blast yourself. Which is another thing that they probably should have caught in beta testing, but I think they've said before their staff is literally around 100 people. So they only have so many testers. So yeah, it's an odd one. Like I said, good on them to stay nominated. Helldivers 2 did win Critics' Choice Award, so maybe the panelist goes that way, but Mario Party Jamboree is another Mario Party, an absolute slammer. Chad, I cannot tell you how many hours I have watched of Mario Party Jamboree because I know a couple of streamers who have streamed so much of it. It's very popular. It's a very good Mario Party. And they even have some alternative game modes if you don't want to hate your friends. They have kind of a weird, I'll pitch this to Lucky in chat as they basically built the alliance raids of Mario Party. There's a game mode where you can play with up to 24 people, but you can have up to 8 people in your party, 8 of your friends, and you play hectic mini games against, they call him Imposter Bowser because Bowser's a playable character. But so giant ghost Bowser beats you up and takes your coins, and you play mini games against him, and you can do that with a shitload of people. So that's co-op technically. You can also just play the games by yourself. So good pick. Tekken 8's a little weird because it's also in Best Fighting, but I do think that kind of like Street Fighter last year, Tekken 8 has kind of like expanded a little out of its bubble, you know? Like, a lot of people have been very excited for it, seen a lot of people pick it up for the first time. And genuinely, 40K Space Marine 2 is also a really good pick. They have both a very strong... so you can play the entire campaign 3-man co-op. They have dedicated operations, which are PvE, which are 3-man co-op, and they have a PvP mode. All of which have, like, mechanical overlap, but also are completely separate. So, like, that's also, I think, a really strong contender. I'm gonna guess probably just for the elevation of the brand, probably Black Ops 6, probably COD. I personally would probably, out of these, honestly, oh man, I would love Helldivers 2 to win because it's given me all this, like, I've played so many hours of it, but some of those hours have been not against my will, but have been uphill, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. It's a tough one. Like, I would say Helldivers 2 or Space Marine 2, honestly, out of this list, but I think COD will win. Best sports racing game for traditional and non-traditional sports and racing games. This one is funny, by the way. I saw several outlets kind of surprised that College Football 25 is not on here. Maybe because we're getting a little too international with our judges. Because truly nobody but America cares about American football, especially college football. But your nominees are F1 24, EA Sports Football Club 25, once again because they lost the rights to the FIFA name, NBA 2K25, Topspin 2K25, WWE 2K24. This one mystifies me a little. Don't know much about sports games. I've played a few. I'm kind of surprised that college football's not on here because that was a huge return to form. I assume it either has to be Football Club or WWE, honestly. Because I think wrestling has, probably out of these sports, the broadest appeal besides football.
Yeah.
And the 2K24 game is very well regarded. A lot of fun stuff, a lot of character creator stuff you can go on. So one we can probably debate much more in depth. Best sim/strategy game. No Microsoft Flight Sim, once again. We have real-ass games in here. Your choices for best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. Do think they changed the language on this a little, so I think it fits, because I think it's fair to say there are turn-based sims, you know. But your options are Frostpunk 2, Age of Mythology Retold, Kinitsugami, Path of the Goddess, Manor Lords, and Unicorn Overlord.
I'm glad Unicorn Overlord got the nom. I don't think it's going to win, though, necessarily.
Well, we saw Manor Lords got some flowers and noms in other previous ones, so that's, I think, going to be a strong one.
Yeah.
All of these are really good picks. I do kind of hope Unicorn Overlord wins, because that was another game that I think a lot of people, like, was a little bit of a sleeper hit, right? Like, a lot of people were just like, oh, there's this cool new, like, 2D strategy game coming out. What's it like? And then they play Unicorn Overlord and they're like, oh shit, this is really good, because Vanillaware makes good games.
Yeah, no, but I think it's kind of like, it's like, only, you know, like, here's the thing. Like, I think this is with a lot of Vanillaware stuff. Vanillaware usually makes really, really good games, but for some odd reason, everyone just kind of misses them. You know, like, underestimates them. They just kind of drift under people's radar. Have
better marketing than some of their games had in the past, but I genuinely think part of their problem is, as we discussed, the way Vanillaware makes games is they make a shitload of money on a game, they spend literally all of it making their next game, and decide to finish up and release that game when they run out of fucking money. That probably means they don't have a huge marketing budget left over, so I do think their games are kind of undermarketed. 13 Sentinels is another game that's, like, super well received, super well reviewed. Both of us, like, speak in glowing terms about it. Was another sleeper. Like, a lot of people didn't get it when it came out. I think it actually got ported a couple of times before it, like, really sunk in. UO might be in the same way. I do think that it generated a decent amount of positive reviews, and, like, goodness knows that, like, the character designs definitely kind of popped online a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I do still see fan artists every day out there. But, yeah, I could see this going to, like, Manor Lords or Frostpunk as well.
No, it's probably going to be one of those two, unfortunately.
I
do need to pick up Kunitsu Path of Gods, because I was interested in that.
Yeah, that's another one that's I have not yet gotten into, but sounded pretty good, and to see it nominated is like, oh, that's really solid.
Yes.
Best family game, not just the Mario show today, But for best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform, this year we do actually, I think, lean a little more that way with family game. But usually this is like the Nintendo holding area because for some reason critics are afraid to like treat Nintendo games seriously in other genres or build genres like awards that fit Nintendo games, so you see a lot of them. And there's a few of those in here because your nominees are Princess Peach Showtime, Astrobot, Super Mario Party Jamboree Again, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. So not entirely Nintendo Fest. This one's gonna be a little weird because like I think it really depends on how the voting panel is voting for Astrobot in awards higher up the card, right? Because, like, Astrobot should probably be going home with at least a couple of awards. I can imagine if it doesn't get, like, Game of the Year and maybe some of the other higher awards, we feel, like, compelled to throw it a bone in, like, Family Game, maybe? And I do think it is kind of a game that is approachable to all ages, despite the fact that, like, genuinely, young kids are probably not going to get a lot of parts of the game's, like, backdrop and history because they're not going to have played some of these ancient-ass games. Lucky and I don't recognize some of the characters that are in Astrobot that are from, like, the PS1 era. So, like, it's a little weird, but it is a E-rated, like, all-ages appropriate game, so it does technically fit. Mm-hmm. It's a game you can have your kid play, or play with your kid, or play for your kid, etc. I would say probably out of this list, I do feel like, though, it's probably going to go to Zelda or Peach, funny enough. Battle of the Princesses. I did hear from some reviewers that, like, Princess Peach Showtime was definitely a game that aimed at a younger demographic. Echoes of Wisdom has that recency punch and is a Zelda game, which is also doing something fairly unique. Playable Zelda is very rare, and I don't think there's been a game prior to Echoes of Wisdom where she's 100% playable. Like, I think even in, like, Hyrule Warriors and stuff, you usually start by playing as, Link, and then can get a Zelda sometimes.
Yep.
So, like, it's got a strong novelty factor. I think some people talked about maybe it had some technical issues, but it was reviewed pretty well. I personally haven't gotten to Plucky Squire yet, so I don't know for sure, but that is another game that's very positive. Obviously, it is nominated, so... Well, actually, I say that. We're going to talk about Best Fighting Game, where, once again, I feel like just... Jeff... You really need to narrow down Best Fighting Game to 4 options. I think if you cut it to four nominees, you're going to get 4 bangers every time. Your panelists literally can't name 5 fighting games. I'm sorry. It's true. But yeah, for Best Family Game, I would probably still put in for Astrobot on this list. It's the only one I've played so far out of these, and I do think it fits. But like I said, if it actually wins, like if you're going from like what I would vote for personally versus what I think is going to win, I'm not as sure it will block that in because, like I said, if, God willing, inshallah, Astrobot sweep and it clears out, like, higher categories, like if it takes home Game of the Year or Best Game Direction or something, it's probably not going to win Best Family Game. So when Echoes of Wisdom gets its Switch 2 compatibility patch, it's going to be great, is what you're telling me. Interesting. So Best Fighting Game, best game design primarily around head-to-head combat. Which, like, is a very weird generic bill for fighting game, even though most of us, I think, know what a fighting game is. Your nominees are Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising, Dragon Ball Spa King, 0.
Fair.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
Okay, but fair.
Yeah, like I said, most people are okay or fair or okay but fair. I think I fall in the okay but fair category myself, too, where it's like, okay, that's a little weird, but people were very excited about that. It's an anticipated re-release,
Yeah.
Multiversus and Tekken 8. So, if you don't know, the error here is Multiversus. So, Multiversus is a free-to-play game that, like, was in a beta and went down for maintenance and got retooled. And when it came back retooled, the general opinion is it came back worse, which is the nomination period it is currently being nominated for an award under. So, this is another one that's like, oh, you only wrote this shit in because you couldn't think of a 5th fighting game this year. Like, generally, people agree Multiversus should probably not be on this list, but somehow is. And, like, I assume is not going to win the list. I genuinely don't know who's going to win. I think it's probably a fight between Sparking Zero and Tekken 8, which is going to be tough, because, like I said, I think Tekken 8 got outside its bubble, but Dragon Ball is outside the bubble. It's fucking Dragon Ball. So I genuinely don't know.
I think I would like to see Granblue win, but that's just because I am biased towards Granblue fans.
Oh, and I think it would be super neat if Granblue won. Like, it would not be an undeserved win. It's just one of those things where, like, I'm trying to read the board. I think the hype for Tekken 8 and Sparking Zero has been way higher. Yeah,
and I put this on all things. When people are more hyped for a thing, usually they are much more willing to forgive its flaws or double down on its flaws. And I haven't really heard of people doubling down on either of those flaws. So
yeah, no. Also, like, genuinely, the thing about Sparking Zero also, which is why I probably lean a little more towards it winning, not just Dragon Ball as a brand recognition, but also those style of those like 3D arena fighters are designed on purpose to be casual games. You're supposed to like open your toy box full of Dragon Ball action figures and slam them together. They are not tightly focused, competitively balanced games. Literally, you can play as Yajirobe. If you don't know what you're doing and you play like Ultra Instinct Goku, he's gonna kill you every time, because Goku is just stronger. Duh. Like, the game is designed with that in mind. Some people try to like whine about it a little bit, but I think most people accept that that's just kind of how it's designed. But that also means I think it has a much broader appeal, because it's not trying very hard to be a mega tight competitive fighting game. It's like, hey, y'all want one of these Dragon Ball games? Oh, I know people are whining about it and like asking for like nerfs or buffs, but I think that they are a much smaller group than just people just going like, man, this game's fun. So, another big fucking category, Best RPG. For the best game, designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massive multiplayer experiences. Once again, I do like their category. I think they make it narrow enough in their description. Making that the RPG category is sometimes a little dicing, but I think this year we have mostly selections we can all agree are RPG SRPGs.
That's good.
Your options are Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor Fantasio.
Yeah, no, those are all RPG SRPGs.
Yeah. I think there is some room for debate when we go higher and get into stuff like action and action adventure, which are much less clearly defined category. I genuinely saw some people talk about the nominees, and there was one of the panelists was a guy who was not as deep in like the RPGO sphere, and he was like straight up like, I genuinely don't know. Chat, you gotta help me out with this. Why would you guys be mad at me? You guys are clearly mad at me when I say that I think that Shadow of the Erdtree could be best action game. Why are you mad? And it's because like we live in such a weird soup of genres that like, no, Elden Ring is definitely an action RPG. Like, jumping and dodging are key parts of that game's mechanics, but also it is really about character customization and build too. So like, Yajirobe was actually OP. That was probably an error then, because I'm sure he was supposed to be shitty. I probably picked like a bad character, but yeah, it's generally one of those things that is very funny about that. But yeah, no. So this is the first time Erdtree's been in here. It's going to be in a couple of categories. This is, I think, the major point of contention that people are probably going to want to hear us talk about the Game Awards. So, an expansion, a DLC, a non-standalone DLC, has been nominated as Best Game of a Year in several genres and categories. Now, I'm going to tell you, chat, I generally agree with sentiments that I do not feel like this is quite right. I understand where they're coming from. I do think that genuinely, for some gamers, Shadow of the Erdtree is going to be the best gaming experience they had all year. It was released to generally positive critical acclaim. Obviously, from the actual players, once it filtered down a little, there were a couple of issues. Like, genuinely, I think there was plenty of confusion and stuff about, like, how the difficulty scaling was supposed to work. I think Lucky mentioned this on stream yesterday, because we did our Astrobot stream out of order. That, like, FromSoft had to come out with little, like social media posts about tips and tricks to how to actually do your DLC-specific stat leveling. As I mentioned before, I heard a lot of people complain that it was hella unoptimized on PC, like loads of games. But if it was your cup of tea, that was going to be a really standout experience. But also, nominating a DLC for highest level categories, it feels off. And it feels off because, like, it's not even like this is like a standalone thing that you can just get into that's separate, right?
Right.
Literally, people tabulated, and I think only like 20 or 30% of players on Steam had the achievement that they beat Moog, the boss you need to beat to access the DLC. Only like 1/5 of Elden Ring players could get into the DLC, and that required, I've heard people estimate anywhere from like 20 to 100 hours of content. Genuinely, you are probably best sorted by doing Shadow of the Erd Tree as a post-game DLC after you've completed all the main story of regular Elden Ring. And that's a little weird. It's a little weird to me. I don't agree with it. I understand you want to give it its flowers. I definitely think that, like, with the golden joysticks, if you guys had a best DLC or best expansion category, Erd Tree should sweep. Like, I think that's clean. I'll even say that over my beloved Final Fantasy XIV. Dawntrail didn't hit as hard as Endwalker. Also, I wanna call out the fucking judging public separately. So actually, I'm going to hold myself back. On principle, Lucky, how do you feel about Erd Tree being nominated as a DLC in these categories? Because I have a completely separate rant.
I actually haven't thought. I've only been thinking about it in the terms of like the Game of the Year nomination. We'll get to that eventually. But thinking about it here, like, actually, no, I think that's a little weird because it's a DLC, but like, and it probably stuffed lore in. They probably stuffed lore into it. But did they actually like change up like?
So they added new like spells and weapons and armor and shit, and there are new bosses and mechanics to fight. But it's still basically Elden Ring, as far as I know.
It's like if you want, like, this is my opinion, but if you want DLC to stand in its like a DLC to stand apart in its own category away from its main game, then in some way it has to be different from the main game. It has to be able to stand on its own merits. This is why I get mad that Phantom Liberty got a bit of snubbing when it came, well, not when it came out, but like that year.
Yeah, they I do believe Cyberpunk didn't Cyberpunk win Best Ongoing? I think it might have, but like it was just a generic nomination and award for all the patches they'd done up until now, and also kind of tacked on Phantom Liberty, which is a little bit of a bum rap.
Yeah, because like I said, like throughout playing Cyberpunk 2077, you're usually playing along with the Cyberpunk narrative there. But when you get into Phantom Liberty, all of a sudden you're in a spy thriller, and you get into a lot more. You get a lot more story. You get a lot more lore. You get to experience, Solomon and Songbirds. You get to meet the President of the United States, and you get to have a gunfight with her. That was fucking rad. You have really epic fucking boss fights, which I'm gonna be real. Before Phantom Liberty, you really didn't have a lot of those.
Yeah,
you
the
really
boss fight
didn't.
Sucked. We made a meme of Adam Smasher. They had to fucking like rebalance him twice.
Yeah,
and he's still a little bit of a clown if you're a max level V.
No, but like Phantom Liberty
also,
did so much for that game.
I don't think
and
either of us actually got far enough to get it, but apparently, depending on your storyline choices, Phantom Liberty has one of the best like first-person horror game segments people have ever seen inside Cyberpunk 2077, the RPG. Like, they do some really freaky shit with AI stuff.
So it's like, and so Phantom Liberty like is a DLC that can stand out on its own merits. Like, and honestly, I don't know, I
do think several people who saw the Erd Tree nomination and were surprised were like, shit, we can do that? We should have done that for Phantom Liberty, Like,
yeah. But yeah. Like I said, I haven't played Elden Ring, so I can't, say, like, this is, like, for sure or not. But I do not know if Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is different enough and stands out enough on its own to count.
Like I said, I haven't studied it too openly, but I've played a decent amount of Elden Ring. I'm like over the 10-hour mark, I think. And like I have positive feelings about Elden Ring. It's still like all Soulsborne games, all of From's core titles. It's a pain in the ass to play because it really does want you to like knuckle down and play it. And I feel like a lot of times I'm just like my response to like hard to overcome situations is usually like diversionary. Like, can I go around this? Can I divert the flow somehow? But also, like, I don't want to, like, cheat. Like, my first instance isn't like, alright, what's the cheesiest cheapo cheese build I can build? Because, like, that's not any fucking fun either. So, like, I tend to bounce off a lot of From's works because just like I said, it's just personality differences. Elden Ring is good. I actually genuinely don't know if, like, from what I've heard and seen about it, if Erdtree is, like, truly breaking out the mold. This nomination for Best RPG and for some of the other categories it's in really feels like you're trying to double dip, you know, I'll phrase it this way, I guess, suck Elden Ring's dick a little bit more because you can't nominate it again. So yeah, no, it feels like a double dip, which should not be the purpose of the Game Awards. There are categories like Best Ongoing and Best Community Support, which are designed to reward games that are continual and well liked and well supported. Even though I feel like Best Ongoing is the same 4 fucking people every year, it's not that they don't deserve it. It just gets a little bland, you know. But like we should not be re-nominating FromSoft. They don't need it. They already got their awards their Game of the Year for Elden Ring. We should be trying to hit up new experiences. Second point, my rant about this. It's been discussed before. Technically, this has always been possible under the rules. It's been mentioned before that in like 2016 or 17. Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, which was an expansion, even though it was a very big and good one, was nominated for Best RPG that year. The FAQ only clarified this a few weeks ahead of time of announcing the nominees, clearly when Jeff Keighley got back his nomination slate and realized there was going to be a fucking problem when he announced this. But if this has been an option the whole time, okay, as Lucky said, where the fuck was Phantom Liberty standalone nominations? Also, okay, I've said it before, maybe not for Dawn Trail, but I'm pretty sure, where were the fucking standalone nominations for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker? I know I wasn't playing it when Endwalker came out, but it came out. That was probably worth some fucking awards that year, and it may be that they won Best Ongoing, but if standalone, I guess it's not standalone, but it's an expansion you have to fucking buy separately. It's a separate license. I know, I had to buy it. If that works, where were those nominations? That game had as an X-Pack, Endwalker had a phenomenal Metacritic score. Everybody was talking about it. Also, very deserving of it at launch Endwalker. I mean, I know there were some complications with the launch. Too many people were trying to play it, but that's how good it was. What the fuck? Like I said, it's just one of those things that, like, yes, also a lot of people, I've heard that. I have no particular thoughts about Xenoblade, but a lot of people have also been saying that, like, 2 and 3 had massive overhaul expansions that were, like, also probably truly deserving of nomination in their years. So it's like, yeah, no, it's just one of those things of, like, you guys chose not to nominate, I don't know, P3R, SMT 5 Vengeance, which is technically a re-release, but obviously is fair fucking game. They did a remake of Thousand Year Door for Paper Mario. Like, you skipped out on all that. Plucky Squire's an RPG that's been nominated for some other awards that maybe could have been up there. All that shit for Elden Ring 2.
Elden Ring 1.5, you mean?
Sorry, what?
You mean Elden Ring 1.5?
I guess, yes. It is technically 1.5, but yeah, it's not. If it was actually Elden Ring 2, we wouldn't have this discussion. But yeah, the to take a second pass at Elden Ring's awards. I actually don't even know what software version number it might be. It might actually, literally, they might have put out patches for up to 1.5 for that. I don't know. But yeah, no, like I said, it leaves a sour taste in the mouth, and like I said, especially I think for Best RPG is like that. It feels cheating. It feels like you're cheating. Are we sure that in the awards category we didn't re-release the first Dragon's Dogma somewhere that we could nominate it again? That could maybe work. Dark Arisen's real rad. But yeah. Anyway. Now we're getting into a couple categories that are always very awkward. I really feel like one, I'm pretty sure after this moment, I'm pretty sure Jeff is probably going to take a crack at reorganizing the awards. We may see either a explicit like Best Expansion category or some other kind of reorganization. Because like I said, I had to pick some thoughts in my brain. So on paper, and I think why Jeff Keighley wants to run the Game Awards is because he does want to celebrate gaming. Obviously, there are like instances where that gets a little tough to be celebratory. Like last year, there was a lot of issues with, like the game closures, and obviously they had way too little time for speeches. And I think even Jeff talked about it, that like he agreed that like it was a miscommunication, and the sound cue, like the operations team did cut off some of those speech guys way too fast. And that's something he literally said is going to be different about this year is how speaking engagements work. So like, but I think he generally wants it to be a positivity, hype-only moment, which is why maybe he doesn't touch on some of these heavier-hitting things, which can sometimes stick in people's craw, but it's the intention. The other function of the Video Game Awards is, like, it is effectively a giant ad for both games past and future. Like, it is supplemented by ad revenue, and because of this ad revenue and, like, the hype around the awards, Jeff gets to talk to publishers and get exclusive trailers and stuff, exclusive announcements to build this hype, this positive celebration moment. So, I get that means that there are practical concerns about, like, how many awards they can rip out, how many they can, like, run, who gets speeches and shit like that, who gets on-stage time. I still think that he genuinely does not want the awards to be, like, a contentious thing every year, so he does, like, listen to feedback and try and figure out how to make it run smoother, if not better, every year. So, yeah, I feel like we're gonna see some kind of change as a result of this Erdtree fiasco, because, like I said, a lot of people online are not happy about it. Even people who love Erdtree are kind of like, man, I don't know, that feels weird, because I understand how much time you have to invest to play Erdtree. But Best Action-Adventure Game. For the Best Action/Adventure Game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, sounds okay, but when you see our nominees, you might scratch your head a little. Your nominees for this are Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. So, I'm not a huge Silent Hill expert. I do know that there is combat and there are puzzles, but I don't know if I would consider most survival horror games action-adventure.
I'm
Sometimes
actually more
they can be.
I'm more in favor of it. Action-adventure, I think, is one of those things...
Go ahead, finish it.
Yeah, my thought is, action-adventure is kind of one of those things that are built off a very loose and broad statement. They can't agree on what it actually means. But generally, I think it means that if you are following some sort of plot or storyline, and you have mechanics that are more complicated than a turn-based system, you can generally be considered an action-adventure. Generally.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I was going to say is, ultimately, if you're building this category as a big tent category, which it is, I think we can probably say that most survival horror games probably go in that zone. You would probably, you might consider Resident Evil 4 only an action game, but action-adventure definitely works, and a lot of survival horror in that same vein. Dead Space probably goes in there. It's because Jeff does it and his council of guys who organize this show don't want to do, like, a separate best horror game, best, adventure game, etc. And I think in past years they have had this be just adventure. They had to change it to action-adventure because action got really narrow without being narrow. The other oddball here is probably, like, we can say, whether or not, and like I said, ultimately I think if we're building this big tent, Silent Hill 2 counts. Star Wars Outlaws, the open world stealthy type game, I guess that can be adventure, but also is a little odd.
It's a little odd. I would actually, I haven't played Outlaws.
Play it adventure-y wise.
Like I said, because even if it's open world, you are going, throughout a plot and whatnot, and, have to meet characters and...
I guess it is true. Again, it's the action part of this that sometimes makes me pause,
I think people need to learn to understand the difference between open world and sandbox settings.
It's true.
If Outlaw was a sandbox setting where you can just kind of go around, do whatever, then it wouldn't count.
No, I do believe it is an Ubisoft-style open world. If
it's an open world, that just means that you have a lot of area to travel between fucking objectives, and you don't necessarily have you will have sub-objectives, but you're not gonna be fucking, Yakuza Like a Dragon being lost playing, fucking Mahjong or, going bowling for,
That said, I probably would put, before they switched to being a JRPG, I probably would put Yakuza games in action-adventure because they are, big wandery story games that also let you do lots of bullshit.
Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. It's a little broad, but
I definitely think it's the thing of the category has been worse in previous years. This year, maybe a couple of weird hits, but most of these are correct. And if you're defining this as, oh, sorry, I had to clear my throat there. If you're defining this as combat and traversal and puzzle. Maybe not all three, but that sounds like an adventure game triangle right there. I think that's pretty fair, right? Combat, traversal, puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, if, like I said, if we dropped the action from this and just said adventure, that would probably be a little more excusable, but I think that means they don't want to make it too loosey-goosey because they don't necessarily want to put, like, purely narrative walking simulator experiences in here. Like, they want the triangle, but it is a category that very often reads a little weird every year. Out of this, probably Astrobot for me. Like, all these are probably pretty good hits, and you never know. Like, a lot of people have been very positive towards Silent Hill, which was, again, generally not expected, but again, Astrobot is really good at all those things. Puzzles, traversal, combat. So, like, no, that's pretty solid. Best action game. For the best game in the action genre, which for video games is not a genre, you can say action movies are a genre. I do not know if you can say action games are a genre, as you'll see when I list out these nominees. But the thing that I think is the key here is focused primarily on combat. Your nominees are Black Myth Wukong, Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Now, Lucky, chat, are all of those action games? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Are all of those games the same genre? Fuck no. Absolutely not. But I do think all of those are, you could call them action-focused games that are just mostly relying on the combat. But Black Ops is a first-person shooter. Helldivers and 40k are third-person shooters with heavy co-op focus. Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong are much more traditional character action games. I think Wukong is more character action than full RPG. I think there is some leveling, but I don't know if it's a full action RPG like I would say Elden Ring or other Soulsborns are. I don't know. This one's gonna be tough. I'm kind of, even though I haven't gotten around to playing it yet, I'm kind of willing to go to bat for Stellar Blade, because, like, that is absolutely an action game of an action game. Black Ops 6 is very well received, both single and multiplayer, but I do kind of feel like COD is still kind of oversaturated, so I don't know. Wukong does have a big base, but again, are the panelists going to go to bat for Wukong?
I think the panelists are going to go to bat for Wukong.
I think some of them
are. On a personal level, I think they are.
I don't know. I think it depends, because they are all over the place. Like, I mean, Korea's obviously going to go to bat to Stellar Blade, probably. Like, that's one of their big ones. I could see Japanese panelists going to bat for Stellar Blade, because it's a game that, while made in Korea, is very clearly made in the vein of Nier. Like, so it's going to be interesting. It's really going to come down to, like, where a lot of the US, UK, and, like, other parts of, Europe, they've got some other outlets in Southeast Asia. I think there's a couple panelists from, like, India and parts of Africa as well. A decent spread from South and Central America too. Like, and genuinely, because I don't live in those areas and don't have my finger on that pulse, I don't know how they feel about those things. Like, did Wukong pop in Brazil? It might have. I don't know. I know that like Central and South America really love Dragon Ball, for instance. Don't know if they really love Black Myth Wukong. I think COD is usually a pretty universal appeal, but again, like I said, I really truly don't know. I would probably personally push for Stellar Blade to win out. No offense to Helldivers or Space Marine, games I have actually played, but calling Helldivers 2 best action, like, when it's fun, it's fun. When it's not fun, it's really not fun. SM2 is actually probably, honestly, a really good nominee. It's probably really good, like, middle of the road. It has, like, gunplay is pretty good. Melee combat is pretty good. You can switch between the two very effortlessly. I do kind of think that its options for, like, ranged and melee are kind of limited. They didn't go as crazy as they could have with 40k's Armory. The weirdest shit you can get are, like, Melta guns, which basically, rather than give you a shotgun as a Space Marine, they gave you a Melta, which is a short-ranged heat-based weapon, so you just fire blobs of heat at enemies and watch them melt, hence Melta gun. But, like, 40k has some weird guns. Hey, Chet, did you know that Inquisitors of the Order Hereticus carry Castigator pattern bolt weapons, which are modeled after crossbows, because obviously, despite the fact that we're in the Millennium 40,000, our witch hunters have to look like 16th century puritanical witch hunters, complete with hat. So they look like crossbows and fire bolts covered with arcane sigils that fuck up psychic warriors. Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, no, like, if you ever want to just open a list of, like, the gnarliest shit you can shoot at somebody from a plastic spaceman to another plastic spaceman, 40K's got you covered. I think one of the primary weapons of the Eldar, the Space Elf faction, are shuriken cannons, which fire monofilament shurikens at, I believe, according to some codexes, 100 rounds a second.
Jesus.
Don't ask me how they do that.
They
Dark
probably
Eldar
don't.
get to shoot black holes at people. Like, 40K's fucked up, y'all. So, Space Marine 2 is very conservative with its selection of weapons, but the gameplay feels good.
Well, clearly you can't have anything because you're playing a Space Marine. Using those weapons would be heretical.
Also true, but also Space Marines have access to some fucking horse shit. I think they saved some of their funnier options for, like, future, like, season-type updates, like new shit to add on, not necessarily, like, paid DLC, but new DLC content to download. That said, I do love the plasma pistol in Space Marine 2. It is my preferred sidearm, but that's because you have 3. You have the bolt pistol, the heavy bolt pistol, and then the plasma gun. That's, again, you could have given me a hand flamer. I know that's more like a Sisters of Battle thing, but they make Astartes pattern hand flamers. The bolt pistol's very iconic, I know.
I just have to smile a lot as I know nothing about 40K.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, I think there's a lot of, like, all of these are good options. I am, like, genuinely unknown, but I think I would like Stellar Blade to take home the win there. We'll see. Like I said, I think, you know, critics and industry panelists seemed pretty hot on the game, but it was hard to get a genuine read on that game because there was so much tourist bullshit about it, you know?
Yeah.
That truly didn't matter. That said, it might have a little bit of that recency factor getting in because of the Nier collab, putting it back in people's minds. We'll see. Love to see how it plays out. Best AR/VR game, we'll just read this out really quick because we still don't own VR. Arizona Sunshine Remake, Asgard's Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metal Hellsinger VR, Metro Awakening. I think all of these look and sound like solid VR titles. Still don't have a VR, so I say. Best mobile game. Your options. AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero. No Genshin. Okay, Star Rail didn't even make this list.
I'm actually a little surprised by that.
Yeah, no, I think Genshin might still be in best ongoing. It might not be though. I haven't reread it in a while. So it's interesting to see the kind of, like, shift down the line as we go through the eras. I actually genuinely don't know if, like, normally I would say Zenless is a square in, but I have actually heard, like, again from, like, a handful of, like, industry guys and some of the people who are on these panels that, like, they're not as hot on Zenless because of, like, how fiddly it is and the gameplay being kind of shallow. Like, I played a decent amount of it before I did drop it. I kind of agree. A lot of the, like, core gameplay mechanics are, like, you hit the same button over and over again until it's time to hit a different button. And yeah, a lot of games are like that, but it definitely for a game of that grind set, it did kind of, like, just not keep me hooked. It looks real good, but will it win? Shout out to Wuthering Waves. A little surprised. I wasn't sure if they were going to have that hype peak, but they did. That said, I genuinely think, I don't know if Zenless or Wuthering can beat the wombo combo of Balatro and Pokemon? ? And I do want to say this. I mean, admittedly, the category is best game playable on a mobile device. Pokemon should not win. The gameplay is a super stripped down version of the Pokemon trading card game that has its own, like flaws, but it is simplified to be easily digestible. I don't actually know if it should win best game playable on a mobile device. Best cardboard crack simulator? Sure, but Balatro, baby. Balatro.
Balatro's probably going to win.
Great on phones. Yeah, Genshin, I don't want to get too much into it, but I believe that Genshin has what the people would call a colorism problem, in that it is made in mainland China, where I do still believe the general ethos is we generally see lighter-skinned characters as cooler, better, more pretty. But Genshin is trying to do this worldwide thing, so they have, you know, in-game fantasy counterpart cultures for parts of, like, Africa and South America, and they keep making all the characters very pale. It is, you are able to form your own opinion on whether or not it's correct or not, but I can tell you as a fact that does rub certain, dare I say, possibly even many sectors of the Western audience the wrong way. Even I, as a white guy, do think it's a little weird. Like, you can put some darker skinned people. That's perfectly normal. You should have a fairly diverse slice if you're doing fantasy counterpart cultures. There's all kinds of humans everywhere. not 100% of your characters should be white, which I don't think is true either, but like I said, I do believe, like, Genshin has been called out repeatedly for having a lot of light-skinned people, even in areas that are supposed to be based on cultures that are not so white. So I do think that is part of their their popularity maybe waning a little bit. And, like, I do kind of think that, like, Zenless and Honkai probably don't have this problem because they are constructed differently. But like I said, don't know who's going to win. Like, I would normally put it on Pokemon because, one, it's the hot new hotness, and also it is fucking Pokemon. But like I said, also, the gameplay is not that in-depth. It is not that tight. So, like, again, Balatro is Balatro, you know? Yeah, Balatro's phone was only put on mobile pretty recently, and it's, I believe, killing in that zone. Like, it's, a lot of people really like it as a mobile port, too. So, yeah, we'll see. Best debut indie, best debut game created by a new independent studio. Your nominees are Balatro, Animal Well, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire. All very solid nominees. Heard good things about, I think, all of those games. Ooh, again, real tough. Like, we could be looking at the Balatro sweep. Like, it's got a lot of noms, so I genuinely don't know. But like I said, could see Plucky Squire taking it again. You know, wasn't put forward for best RPG, but is in there. Manor Lords also, like, got some flowers out there as well. Some people are a little concerned that Manor Lords got a full nomination because it is technically, I believe, still in early access, or was in early access, like, most of the year. So, like, that one's a little weird. That one might not win because of that, but otherwise, you know, very, very solid selections. Best indie game, period, for outstanding creative and technical development of a game outside the traditional publisher system. I do believe there is no Dave the Diver fuck-up this year. Your options are, once again, Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50, games we've heard of before. This one I'm going to probably say much more locked in for Balatro. And I know that's wild to say that, like, I think Balatro could clinch best indie game, and I have to question whether they'll nominate it for best debut indie. But the Game Awards are weird because they are controlled by a panel of judges who, like, think about these things rather than just, you know, everybody just taps their favorite answer all the time. There's a popular vote, but I believe that accounts for, like, 10% of the weight on the awards is the number I've heard before. So, like, I could easily see, like I said, Balatro sweep, but also I could see panelists going like, okay, so Balatro's best indie game overall, but I think the best debut is like Manor Lords or Plucky Squire or something. Again, genuinely don't know. We're going to do these, rip these pretty quick back to back because they're pretty close together. We've got best community support, recognize a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches. Nominees are Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky. Honestly, all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
I would still probably vote down the line on 14, but Baldur's Gate is fucking dummy thick in terms of, like, their community support zone, right? Like, if we're counting not only social media but patches, it did not get the nomination for ongoing because that is a little different. So I could easily see Baldur's Gate clocking in here. I genuinely don't. I guess if you think of Fortnite's, like, updates as terms of, like, its new seasons of content and, like, the shit they do to, like, change up their maps and game modes, it gets a lot of that. I don't know if they're really, like, on social media and involved in their community, but I guess they do updates a lot. No Man's Sky just had a huge fucking patch update drop. Say what you will about how some of that has gone. Helldivers 2 is very proactive with their community. Like, they are posting updates. They pivoted over their, like, 60-day update to, like, doing, like, in-depth patch videos that they, like, teased online. Like, they do a lot of community stuff, so that's also very strong. But obviously, me personally, I voted for 14 to go to bat because, you know, 14 is up for this award every year, but, I mean, 7.1 is a killer fucking patch that just happened, you know?
I don't know if I'd vote for 14. Well, they are very strong with their community. I don't know if, like, I'm trying to think if, like, something has, like, set them out over this year. It's like, we did have a release.
I don't think they're going to beat Baldur's Gate 3. Like I said, BG3's only got one nom for community support, and they are also very strong in that zone. I mean, like I said, if you...
See, here's the unfortunate thing, is, like, I don't pay attention to a lot of BG3 communities, so I don't actually know what Larian Studios has done. I do know they are a very positive and friendly community, but, like, Like, I don't know actually.
I don't follow them directly,
but
from what I understand, they're usually very transparent about upcoming like patch updates. They do a lot of patches for bug fixes and stuff, and make sure to keep everybody informed. And they do like a decent amount of like interaction and like community stuff on their social media too. Like, think about it.
Like, this was the thing. Sorry, because this was the thing that I found like slightly hilarious. Because Loth posted about this a little because he found it funny. But apparently, the Cult of the Lamb devs actually fired off a bit of a snit, I guess that's the best way I can put it, on all the stuff they've done for over the year for Cult of the Lamb, and they did not get the nomination. And like, they've done things like, they've officiated weddings, they've put out animated shorts, released free DLC, community events and all that stuff. And I'm like, has Larian Studios done like that level of stuff?
Probably not that level. Yeah, so, I don't know. It's just one of those things where,
like... This is one of those things I'm like what
out
do you
of
mean
these
by
nominees,
here?
I think Baldur's Gate is probably most likely to win. But yeah, I read that thread, and I looked through it, and I'm like, man, no. The Team Mind Cult of the Lamb actually did do a lot. It's just I feel like because their game is smaller and more indie and didn't win as many awards, they don't get quite the hype. Like, I don't know, man. I understand that, like, whenever somebody asks you about, hey, what game had good patches and updates, I guess, every motherfucker's going to write down Fortnite. I really wish they would stop writing down Fortnite. It doesn't need any fucking awards. I don't think it even ever wins these awards, usually.
Yeah, no, like,
But it takes up a slot every fucking year.
Like, I'm gonna be real. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is a great game, and I think Larian Studios is a great game, and they did something. But just because they are being nice people does not necessarily mean they should actually, win an award or nomination for it.
Well, like I said, they talk about community support and, like, transparency and responsiveness. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 is still supported. They are still doing, like, fine-tuning patches and updates and stuff, like, over this past year. So, like, they are proactive with their community in that way. And, I mean, I think I'm concerned perhaps that some of our judges got confused, because I think maybe that should maybe go a little more towards ongoing, but, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is a thing people have talked about of, like, it still has a roughly analogous player count, today as it did when it launched. So, like, it has player retention, which is a little crazy, and that probably deserves to be recognized. Is that support? Maybe we should switch these titles, Jeff? Let me read the description for best ongoing real quick, because, like, it is separate, but also all the shit they call it in community support also could be considered ongoing. So best ongoing game says, awarded to a game for outstanding development in ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I do think it's fair to say that I think the updates that Baldur's Gate 3 is putting out probably are not that. They're not really adding, like, a lot of new content.
Can you read a community So
the best community support is recognize a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of both social media activity and game updates/patches.
Okay, so listening to that, I guess doing things outside of the game would probably not be considered then. But
I mean, Lamb did still at least, like, also for the wedding thing, they, like, did make that a huge social media blitz.
Yeah.
But they definitely posted those animated shorts they did on social media, so, like,
yeah,
some of their stuff is not there. I know you actually, are you thinking about the point you brought up the other night when you talked about how Warframe did, like, a big charity drive recently?
Yeah. They did their quest to conquer cancer ran through the month of October. They raised over $130,000 for the Mary. Oh God, what was it? I want to say Mary Cambridge, but that can't be right.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a big thing that probably should earn them a nom somewhere. But
yes, no, and like they constantly do dev streams, they do dev shorts. They're big on social media. They actually flew out to Japan for and held a stream there.
I want to say that usually Warframe is in one of these two slots. Like, they've gotten several noms in past years. I don't know. It's always tricky with, like, the 5 slots. Yeah, but I feel like I would, like, rename community support slightly differently and then, like, keep community support for, again, more of that, like, more about the social media and the charity and, like, some of that other, like, interaction stuff. I would say, honestly,
community
like,
outreach?
Yeah, because, like, community support, okay, like, yes, 14 does have pretty good, what I would think of as normal, high-quality dev stuff. They do the letter from the producer very regularly, They do a lot of patch notes. They do trailers for everything. And like I said, you want to talk about game updates, patches, like, 7.1's a pretty good patch. We've been enjoying all that stuff that's hit, But definitely their like big social media stuff is like maybe once a month tops, more like once a quarter. They have a really funny meme on social media, like the Hamel neck, or, you know, what's your favorite mount? Okay, guys, you know, or acknowledging the Bakul Jaja thirst. But, like, I do not think of 14 as, like, super involved in the community. They're fairly transparent. Like, you know, the letters from the producer are dev streams.
I think they're pretty involved in the community. They have, like, they do several, like Yoshi P usually goes out to several conventions in a year just to, you know,
That's true.
Chat. They have like several fan fests in several countries.
But, you know, like I said, I feel like the community support award is not taking into account convention appearances because, like I say, you know, like, ooh, you know, social media and updates. I'm like, yeah, we need like a community outreach, and then I would say
support.
Best ongoing support, and then best ongoing game should probably be something like best evolving game, because your nominees there are Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2. So for, like, ongoing content that involves the player experiences, 14's an okay pick for that. They did have a new expansion this year, which obviously means new jobs, new mechanics, you know, new story, obviously, but, like, adding on more stuff for the players to do. It's interesting that Best Ongoing does not credit DLC, like single block expansions as well, but Destiny 2 and Diablo 4 also had very strong expansions this year. Diablo 4 was also really interesting in that I believe they actually like released some of the content they were gonna put out in their DLC, their expansion pack, early for free, which also is probably pretty good for that best evolution. Helldivers hasn't really done a lot of new gameplay. They did have a big expansion, but that was mostly just adding a couple of new enemies and objectives. They have done a pretty decent spread of new planets, and they're constantly like tweaking the mechanics, not always for the better. Fortnite does do new maps and stuff, but I'm not plugged in. I do not know if they are like adding a lot of new like game modes and options. I know they do that occasionally. I guess if they do it once a year and people remember, it counts. But like I said, I'm no offense to the teams who make Fortnite and No Man's Sky. I'm getting a little fucking tired of seeing them in these slots every year. I feel like there's like a group of like 10 guys working on No Man's Sky who just exist to release a new fucking giant patch update once a year so they can, not literally so they can keep getting nominated, but so they can keep counting as getting nominated for the Game Award. Because every time I see this patch, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe you guys added all this shit. But also like, fuck, guys, calm down, make your new game already. Yeah, so it's a weird one. Like I said, this is, I feel there are categories that could use a little tweaking. I think the names and descriptions of these two categories could use tweaking, because it's weird. Like I said, I think that, like, Cult of the Lamb does genuinely do a lot of stuff on social, like, I follow their social media account, for crying out loud, because, like, they do new content and also shitpost and other stuff. Hell, because they were up for some awards, a couple of their devs were in the audience at last year's Game Awards, and they posted pictures from the audience with their little lamb plush, you know? Like, Jeff, they're helping hype you up. But also, like, and like you said, I didn't know about, like, Warframe's charity drive, but when you say that, I'm like, no, that absolutely deserves to be recognized. That should give some kind of nod. That's, like, that, I think, is, like I said, the positivity vibes, the hype vibes that Jeff Keighley wants for this show, being like, hey, by the way, did you know Warframe raised, you know, thousands of dollars for cancer? I can't name them off the top of my head, but I am sure that there are other video games that have done similar events, and, like, even if it's not for charity, just, like, general community outreach shit could maybe use a little more nod.
I will say, I do remember that, Helldivers 2, when we continued to save the orphans, you know, donated,
it's true.
Money to, I can't remember what it was, but they gave that money, they gave
it to a children's charity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, that was another thing that, like, well, you're right, that was another moment that was, like, and that was also, like, that's one of the reasons why they probably got on Best Community Support, but not the only reason. But, like, I think that is a separate vibe from them doing their kind of, like, ongoing narrative stuff and the major orders and shit, is because we were, like, weird, nice people playing Helldivers and decided to save orphans, they, you know, donated to charity. It's a different vibe, you know? Games for Impact, the category that continues to be incredibly confusing. Once again, 6 nominees, I think, every year. For a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Closer to the Distance.
Pro-social is such a fucking loaded word. I hate it.
I don't want to say I hate this category, but I kind of low-key hate this category. I get what they're going for, but it feels so weasel worded.
It really does.
Like, are we saying that other games are thought-provoking but have antisocial messages? I mean, yeah, there's some, but, you know, I don't know. It's like, usually the point of this is as they say, generally a thought-provoking game with a meaning or message that is smaller. Usually, giga-huge games are not in here, though there is one of, arguably one of...
are you a game that, I'm going to sound very mean about this, but are you a game that basically has a transgender or LGBTQ character and they're being all cool and stuff?
That is usually some of the nominees. I will say that's not the entirety this year. That usually is one of them, but we've got Closer in the Distance, Indica, Neva, which I believe that's the wolf game, that's environmental stuff. Life is Strange Double Exposure, which is the LGBT stuff. I don't actually know what the pro-social meaning or message of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is. Is it because it stars a woman and she does stuff? I mean, fair game, but also low bar to clear? I genuinely don't know, you know. And Tales of Kenzera Zhao, which the pro-social meaning or message or thought-provoking element there is black people exist. They're neat. It's a little more nuanced than that, but like I said, this category feels so weird. Like, I understand why it exists. I appreciate that they acknowledge these games, but I feel like they call it out so odd.
Well, I think the Tao game is a little bit more for it because it brings notice to a culture that's probably not as represented in video games as it could be.
It's true.
So
No,
I think
one.
that one is fair.
And honestly, I could see it winning. Like,
yeah.
Life is Strange has been like kind of a maybe contentious read. You know, we've talked about this earlier. I think overall it's like critically positive, but there's some stuff in there that like I said, it kind of feels like the people who developed that game really didn't want to develop it. I don't know anything about Hellblade. I genuinely do not know what pro-social meaning or message there is to Hellblade 2. I assume because it's a female protagonist and like the narrating and like the acting is so in depth on her, it's like probably dealing with like her personal struggles, which, like I said, is valid, but also I feel like is such a low bar to clear to like have proper focus on female characters. It still saddens me that that's like unfortunately is award provoking, that we can't just take that as a given. But you know, I don't know anything about Closer in the Distance and Indica, and Neva is, as I mentioned before, our token The Planet is Dying game. They keep making these video games and people don't believe it. Innovation and accessibility is another category that, like, usually the Game Awards does a good job of showing off how these games do this, but I feel like when they're nominated, I never know how they do it. But recognizing software and or hardware that's pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. Your selections are Black Ops 6, Diablo 4, Dragon Age Veilguard, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, and Star Wars Outlaws. I am fairly certain I have heard that all of these games do have a decent bevy of accessibility and other gameplay customization options, like from just like lots of in-depth difficulty customization to like some of these games let you outright like skip mechanics like QuickTime events and other stuff. So just honestly, all of these probably do have a fairly like broad grouping of stuff they can cover. So that's okay. Again, I don't usually you don't see these features advertised, but we'll see. So best performance awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture, which means to say mostly it is noted that the VGAs heavily favor if you have motion and performance capture as well. Some of this is VO only. And also, as usual, this is heavily biased towards the English-speaking actors. I do not know if just that...
I always wonder, like I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
but,
go for it. I petered it out.
But I always am curious about why we don't actually go with, like... Is it because, like with, other languages? Was that, like... Is it because, like, we're, like, this is the VGAs, is, like, are we basing this because we're basing this in America and stuff, or whatnot? Or is it just because if we tried to open it up to all VAs, the category gets way too fucking huge? I like to believe it's the latter.
I think it's the latter, and I think, honestly, with the way the nomination process works, that may be why we only usually see English-speaking, because you can get a little bit of a universal stack on there. You know, like,
because
games that are not... originally in Japanese, may still use English audio, for instance, when that gets localized, though they will also usually have a Japanese dub. Parts of Europe will use, English. The UK obviously also uses English in America. Canada also uses English, whereas, like, the Brazilian Portuguese dub of a game, no matter how superb those actors are, is probably only going to be heard in Brazil. So.
God. Which is wild, because I've heard some performances from, like, other languages, and some of them are just real good. And it's like, it always feels weird. It always feels weird to me that we only do English speaking.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's just because, like, there is a slight bias towards English because it is kind of a global language. It's a lingua franca, that kind of comes out on top. Also, I do genuinely believe it's a little bit of a word snobbery. I do think that they prefer crediting, like, characters who are definitely doing mostly performance and motion capture as well. Not always. Obviously, like I said, Brianna White is also nominated for this, for FF7 Rebirth. They don't credit specifically what character it is, but she's Aerith. I think she does have a really good performance. Obviously, she won a Golden Joystick, but she is only part of that performance because all of the mocap work is done by a separate actress back in Japan who is also not Aerith's Japanese VA. The motion actress is different, So,
Aerith's Japanese VA is Sayamamoto, who is, is our Vinci and our John. So.
Oh, I mean, like, not that I won't say she doesn't deserve an award, but also, I am sure she is perfectly comfortable in Japan raking in whatever Japanese awards she gets. Like, she gets a lot of work and is very highly thought of. I don't know if she feels the need to, like, bust out onto the American stage. It'd be cool, though, if she could get a nomination for the same role, because it's like, I'm pretty sure FF7 is, like, they do rebalance the animations to, I think, be agnostic to the script, but I think they're still writing and recording the script in Japanese first?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I don't know, because Square has done that differently. They did mention that, for instance, 16 was done the other way around. They, like, translated their intended script to Japanese, from Japanese to English first, then, like, finalized that script and started dubbing, then translated it back into other languages, because they wanted to basically kind of match the feel of a couple different English-speaking genre elements. But you've also got Hannah Tell from Life is Strange Double Exposure. I assume she's the new Max, because they recast everybody. Humberly Gonzalez from Star Wars Outlaws. Again, I mentioned that she got in a couple noms. And I'm going to guess, because it was Ubisoft, that probably means she did performance and maybe motion capture. Luke Roberts from Silent Hill 2. Again, a lot of people have been repping his performance. And this was a remake by a Western studio, so once again, could have actually been in English first. And Melina Juergens for Hellblade 2. That's another one that I don't know jack shit about Hellblade. I do know that, like, they do the fucking full body, we mocapped and performance captured and tracked everything, right? Like, the very immersive style acting. So, like, I think all of these are pretty good picks. It is odd to me, like, I've heard several people say this and I agree with it, but I genuinely do not know, like, how and why, especially because for a lot of years there wasn't that's something they only just started doing recently for Like a Dragon games, but how Kazuma Kiryu's VA has never gotten a nom at the VGAs. I would assume most people prefer to play those games in Japanese, and that man has been killing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
But in particular, though, also some of the last couple of games, like between Gaiden and Infinite Wealth, he's gotten some zingers too. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. I do concur that there is a bias from the panelists that favors English-speaking world a little. I do think the Western's game industry is a little bigger, but it's also very spread out. And like I said, obviously this doesn't come from Jeff, as we know. Jeff has covered and is buddies with several Japanese game developers, including Hideo Kojima, who is, as much as Hideo Kojima loves Western cinema, he also still is all over the place, like, hanging out in Tokyo, talking to, like, Japanese fucking anime directors and mangakas and shit, Like, he loves Japanese stuff, too. Like, once again, for every Blu-ray of a Western, like, Hollywood or like, film festival movie Hideo Kojima tweets out, he tweets out another one, which is like, hey, picked up this volume of manga, or hey, here's a Blu-ray of an anime movie I liked. Dude just loves
he loved the last week's episode of Don to Don.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the man just loves art. He loves media. So yeah, like I said, I don't think it's Jeff's fault. It's just there's definitely a bias in the panel, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. Especially as they do keep getting like bigger and more spread out worldwide. I hope someday we do see like another crackback where Japanese VA gets in there, or maybe we do get some of the Latin American Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese actors. Like I said, they have a very robust scene down there, and from what I understand, a lot of the time those guys are killing it, and they don't necessarily get the same recognition. Also, again, talking about slight snubs, nobody from Metaphor was nominated any there.
That is a shame. Like I said, I will go to bat for the Japanese version of Metaphor. I fucking loved it. And like I said, and while I don't think Metaphor's English dub is perfect, it is still really fucking good.
Yeah, people say Metaphor is really high quality. Also, genuinely, the English team for P3R also kind of killed it. Like, those guys had some boots to step into, and a couple of them were very strong. I read her name out earlier, so I'm so sorry I forgot it, but Aegis's VA does some very heavy lifting work. Aegis is a very important character, and she's like I said, from what I played at P3R, she's killing it. Also, episode Aegis did come out. Also, a lot of people were very shocked that I forget his last name. It's funnier. I can remember his fucking VTuber handle better than his real name. But Alejandro, who did Akihiko, also does a very good, very strong performance in P3R. And I think even on social media, he kind of suggested that he did feel a little bit like maybe they missed the mark with some of either him or some other members of the crew he worked with. Like, both those dubs, very good, very solid. Also, I'm sure that their original Japanese cast also fucking killed it. I can understand, some people don't want to cross the language barrier. I do usually play, like, most of my video games in English just because I am a freak who splits my attention too much. So having it be in my native language that I understand, I almost said 100% of. That's probably not true. There's probably some fucking words in English I don't know. I know a lot of English words, though. I can follow most conversations in English by ear. But yeah, so like I said, it's strange. It's another one that's kind of, I think, hurt by them only doing 5 nominees. They got to pick whoever got voted for the most 5 times. But best audio design, best in-game audio and sound design, Astrobot, Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hellblade 2, Silent Hill 2. Was a little surprised to see Rebirth in here, but it does have some very satisfying sounds.
Yeah, but it's not what I think of the best one.
It's one of those moments where, like, when you hear somebody call it its audio design, you're like, I guess landing cross-slash is really satisfying. But are we sure there weren't other games that had, like, audio cues a little better to get in there? I don't know. I don't know shit about, like I said, Hellblade 2 or Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 probably has really good ambient audio.
It's a horror game. It has to have really good audio. Otherwise, it kind of falls flat.
Like, every year, I do believe Call of Duty does get nominated for this category, and probably rightly so, because I do actually think they do a really good job of, like, mixing all their fucking gun sounds and explosions and shit. Like, they are on the ball with that. I would probably lean to Astrobot in this category, though, because as I mentioned with the joysticks, Astrobot genuinely has some really unique pep in its audio cues and sound bites and what it does with, like, the speaker sounds and shit. Like, it's just an auditory treat to play Astrobot. Best score and music for outstanding music inclusive of score, original songs, and or licensed soundtracks. Don't think there's any licensed soundtracks this year, maybe. This is another all-killer, no-filler category. Your nominees are Astrobot, FF7 Rebirth, ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, Stellar Blade. Holy shit.
That's a knockout, drag-out fight.
Yeah, that's... I feel like I have to lean into Rebirth just because of how, like, huge and sprawling their soundtrack is, but I genuinely am pretty sure all of these have really good music.
Like, I think I have to lean towards Rebirth myself, probably with Stellar Blade as a follow-up, just because I will just be thinking about something and some random Final Fantasy VII track would just pop into my head. Did I need fucking, dance EDM crawling up Mount Coral? No, but I did, and now it's in my head forever.
Also, many people have been calling this out. You know a soundtrack is outstanding when the fucking joke songs are bangers. So many people are just, bow wow wow, bow wow wow, he's a good boy who never stops. Like, just the staying power the fucking stamp jingle has is crazy. But also,
God.
the underlying original soundtrack is really good. Like the first thing that jumped into my head when you just said random Final Fantasy music, I just started hearing the notes of kind of the world map theme, da 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 da, and I'm just like, yeah, that's me. That's. If you ever wonder where I am mentally, I am here.
I do think that Rebirth will win. I think it's everyone. But also do think that it has a bit of a cheat in the fact that it is playing off of established music already.
It's true. Also, it's one of those things where, similar to some of those Erd Tree noms, like, yes, there's brand new music, both new remixes and new pieces. Remake won this award in its year. One of the few awards it did win. So, on the one hand, yes, that team is still killing it. But also, do they need another game award? Maybe not. Like I said, I think it's Rebirth, and I can't say that I don't want Rebirth to win because I fucking love that soundtrack. Like I said, just all the things they did, the way the music builds in the Temple of the Ancients, and they start intermixing the different Temple of the Ancients with a little bit of the Forgotten Cat. It's so good. It's so good. But also, I'm sure Stellar Blade is really good. I've listened to some snippets. It's good, and they could probably use the recognition. I know Metaphor's really good. Those guys are killing it.
Nah, that's the problem. Is all these are really good.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, I think I would want Stellar Blade if, in my heart of hearts, I probably want Stellar Blade to win because they, like I said, they need the recognition.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's because did Cosmic Graph work on?
Oh, I think he worked on some of the stuff.
Yeah. Also, they also pulled the main composer from Automata.
Yeah.
Yugataro's a good buddy and a constant partner in crime. But so they got some really good chops in there. And like I said, Metaphors is good, but like I said, it's Shinji Meguro who is, already in oh sweet, I got the barrel. Who is already super fucking well known. I'm actually a little actually I have a question. Did they redo the music for Persona 3 Reloaded? I haven't got a chance to play
They did do a new arrangement, and there are new songs. I think honestly, kind of with a few categories, Atlas ended up shooting themselves in the foot by putting out 2 bangers so close together. Technically, you might even say 3 because the Vengeance re-release as well. That it's a case of if Metaphor hadn't come out in the voting window, you might see P3R in that zone. Like I said, they have a new opening, they have new remixes, and they also have classics. But just God, no. That's also a really strong soundtrack.
No, so unfortunately, yeah. Like I said, Stellar Blade is so good, but I think I have to vote for Rebirth just because Stellar Blade is because Final Fantasy VII just has so much history of it, and just Final Fantasy VII music is one of those things that triggers an emotional response or a memory, constantly.
Yeah, that I've talked about this before, but that soundtrack from its OG to its remixes is embedded deep in the deep parts of my brain. I think the only other franchise that has that same kind of music reaction 100% of the time is Kingdom Hearts. I do kind of feel just because of how many fucking hours I have in it, FF14 is getting to that level of just I'm just starting to recognize motifs, and I've talked about this of whenever I hear the fucking Amarot theme, I just start feeling things. I got a couple of those. Answers is obviously another thing that just hits different, but it's not quite the same front to back, a decent number of 14's tracks are meant to be truly ambient and kind of not, mid, but inoffensive. They're just supposed to be part of the ensemble as you're, bumming around Limsa or Gridania, or chilling in a dungeon smashing buttons. But yeah, no, I can't start hearing A Head on Your Way or the You play the first couple Piano Notes Eris themes, and you're you're gonna start giving me a PTSD trigger.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You and it only takes a couple of notes for me to ratchet my head around, stand up, bolt up, and be like, "Is that Eris theme? What are you fucking doing right now?" Draw a gun. You better choose your next moves very carefully, bud.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I said, I think the only other thing that makes me feel that way is if you start playing the piano notes to Dearly Beloved, the Kingdom Hearts menu theme. So yeah, no, I my heart and soul has to vote for Rebirth, but I think all of those are really good picks. Probably the weakest link is probably Silent Hill 2, but I am sure that they do have some musical moments, and then I assume they probably have some good music in their end phase. Yeah, no, that's me. I'm definitely that Punisher meme about Aerith's theme. I'm just like, wait a minute. No, hold on. Gotta get ready. I'm not crying. You're crying. Shut up. But also, just like I said, there's so much good fucking shit. Every character has has leitmotifs and themes. Like they've done so much good work with Yuffie's theme, Tifa and stuff. I've talked about this before. I start feeling things also when I just hear the classic notes of like the Mako reactor theme is just like so iconic. Anyway, we could talk about the Rebirth soundtrack for literally hours. Let's talk about Best Art Direction.
Ooh.
For outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation, your nominees are Astrobot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of Erdtree, Metaphori Fantasio, Neva. So we got one kind of token indie, and then we've got a lot of big AAA zingers. This one, I do feel a little less bad about their inclusion of Erdtree because they do have a new region, so they have a new modeled map, they have new characters, new bosses with, like, different animations and stuff going on, and they did, like, the new, like, factions and powers and weapons and stuff for Erdtree have their own distinct visual languages, some of which are related to, but many are separate from the original Elden Ring, so, like, you could say maybe that's a little bit fit better because it is doing a new art direction thing, like, it's actually doing different stuff. Don't know if it'll win this category, though, because, I mean, Wukong's already won one award for Best Visual Design. It is also very distinctive with, that classical Chinese myth and legend thing going on. Astrobot has that, pop platformer, kind of cartoon stylization going on that's real good. Very good animation, very good stuff. As we said before, Metaphor's a little bit of a mixed bag because a lot of people do kind of think that parts of it are over-designed. Got a little too much going on. They do have very strong character designs as well.
No, like, I will go to bat for the character designs. The character designs are phenomenal. Enemy designs are interesting. And some locations have good environmental design, but others are very boring and plain. I think people overhype the menus way too much. Like, they're trying to think that they're more than they actually are. The menus are literally just various body parts of the characters, in 3-frame painting styles. It's actually not that fucking impressive, guys. Y'all need to calm down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an extension of Atlus's menus for a long time. Like P5 and P3R have similar menu vibes, which are good because it I think the point is that it kind of keeps you in the mood and the emotion of the game even when you're fucking paused.
Yeah,
but they're not that deep.
Yeah, no, Metaphor does not keep you. You're just kind of staring at a character or a character's hand, maybe the side of their face. It's not that great, guys.
Honestly, I think they probably should have gone for P3R over Metaphor, maybe, because P3R's menu design, where it's they do that underwater effect thing, is and there's the classic blue, obviously, that's so tied into what P3's vibe is.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, other than the fact that they replaced a couple of their anime cutscenes with in-engine cutscenes, the visual design for P3R is very clean and iconic, but it is a remake, so, it's a little weird. But you put Erdtree in here, so fucking, I don't know, man.
Also, I will say that the archetypes design, while initially interesting, actually gets very bland after a while. Especially when you have multiple characters using them and you just realize that characters are just using palette swaps of the exact same model. Just kind of
how many archetypes are there?
Oh, God. Sorry, I can't think. It's over 20.
Okay.
20 to 30.
Yeah, I think that's probably
40.
A consequence of, it's a very good number. Though some of those are obviously, progressions from another. But, that's probably a consequence of, I think they hired, one character/mecha designer to do all of them. That guy, I don't remember his name, but, that guy is, obviously very famous for that kind of designs and stuff. But, yeah, if you're gonna draw, 40 designs, probably gonna get a little repetitive. And if they're not, customizing them, that's something I will say for, a lot of SMT Demon /Persona designs are based on previous iterations. They don't often go back to the, start from square one. But they do a lot of very strongly varied art designs for all of them. And definitely for characters' personas, because they are personal, and those are, have very, very strong visual language.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see that kind of going down there. So, Metaphor might still win, but I definitely think we're probably going to see like a clock in for, I would say, probably between these two, Wukong or Astrobot, both going very different ends of the visual design spectrum.
Oh god, Wukong's pretty very good, but fucking Astrobot is such a delight and a joy.
Yeah, I guess it's going to be a question of like, are you looking for the more serious cinematic like look, or do you just want joy? Because that's what Astrobot is. Like,
yeah, no, I guess that is like
good.
kind of the two main caps there.
Nominees for Best Narrative. We're getting towards the end, by the way, Chad, if you felt we've been here too long.
It is almost 10
yeah, we've been recording for about 3.5 hours. I don't have anything else to talk about after this. Like I said, because of my headache, I was like felt super behind on work, so I started my week behind on projects, so I've been doing a lot of project working this week. My gameplay has been a little lean. I should mention I did actually download and play Hollow Cure, and I'm having fun as that I play it for an hour at night to turn my brain off game. But it's not that deep, you know?
Yep.
So that's it for me. Everything else my week has been, I've been playing Sons of the Forest, or we're super back into Final Fantasy XIV, or I have been working on editing audio or making slideshows and shit. I'm a busy little bee, I guess. But our best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. Simple as your options: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Silent Hill 2. All probably pretty strong choices. I feel like I would lean towards Rebirth. I think I could see ReFantazio squeaking it out with maybe that recency bias.
Metaphor does have a very good story, but it is not that complicated.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing with best narrative is, is the story told outstanding, and does it develop a narrative? Good, I guess. They don't actually say, develops a narrative well. Actually, no, the outstanding narrative development. So, do you have a narrative that you develop, and do you tell your story good, is what the category is. So I think that is supposed to be the difference between this and Games for Impact. Games for Impact is more about having a meaning or message, having a punch to your story. Oh god, again, Rebirth is such a titan. Honestly, its size and complexity may be working against it, but for me, who has played through all of it and knows what the fuck is happening, up to a point, I know at least as much as they're willing to explain in game. Rebirth has just so much fucking heavyweight shit, right? Hours and hours of side stories, plenty of main content, and they are, I think, navigating well the issue of retelling a story that is so iconic, its big spoiler, which is still a major part of the story structure of this game, is a fucking internet meme.
Honestly, I feel like some people will not want to vote for Rebirth for the simple fact that they might feel that Square Enix did not commit to one side or the other. I do feel like there's a good number, a non-zero number of people out there who thinks Rebirth's story kind of sucks because they would say, and I quote, confusing and meandering and does not have a satisfying payoff.
Well, those people are probably Philistines, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is literally the Empire Strikes Back of Final Fantasy VII remakes, which generally people are very positive towards Empire. I've always said that, like I said, I think my personal preferences are A New Hope or these days, honestly, Rogue One. I actually really like the smaller scale storytelling in Rogue One. Also, there are fuck tons of X-Wings in it. Anyway, I'm a simple man. But, yeah, this is why I said, I'm glad Rebirth got nominated, because I do feel like the plot is a little contentious, because it is a middle chapter that does kind of end on not a plot, but a character cliffhanger, I want to say. Because it ends right after City of the Ancients, we're in this zone of, what is going on with Cloud's brain? What is up with Aerith? Is she dead for reals or not? Or is this just a problem Cloud's having because he's been fucking time cloned and he's experiencing two timelines at the same time? Which definitely is at least one scene in Rebirth is that happening. I don't know if he stays that way, though. Or a lot of people have a theory, which is just a theory, that some of the visions of Aerith are just Jenova manipulating him. Which, yes, strictly speaking, that is a thing we say Jenova can do, but also, should probably be telegraphed differently. Like, the game doesn't do the thing it does to let us know when Jenova/Sephiroth is manipulating Cloud in some of those scenes. It does in some other parts, but not all the parts. Like, to relitigate a little bit, plug your ears if you don't want Rebirth spoilers, I guess you're waiting for the PC drop, but, at the moment in the fields before they take off, when, like, it seems like only Cloud 100% can see Aerith. Other people seem to kind of sense her, but only Cloud interacts with her. When he's talking to Aerith, he doesn't have the little static keys. When he picks back up the black materia and remembers he has it and hides it in his sword, he gets the static keys. Visual language is important, chat. You can unref now. I know you can't hear me say that, but anyway. So like I said, there's theories and stuff going on, which I think does lend to it being a better narrative, because people are, like, asking questions, they're interested, they're invested, but it is a middle chapter that, like, can't give you the full satisfying conclusion because they know they have to set up for a third piece. Remake kind of ends in the same way because they had to kind of add an artificial stopper because the game doesn't actually, like, take a break after Midgar. But also, the shift from Midgar to the open world is so dramatic that it worked very well, you know? So, yeah. Like I said, I could see kind of like you said, the sprawling complexity and kind of like the different interpretations working against it, but also, God, there's so fucking much good shit. And some of it's, like, almost all new. Like, they really redesigned and reinterpreted the Gongana chapter. Gongaga. But also, we got a decent amount of my man Barrett Good stuff and Corel. The fucking way the Cosmo Canyon and the Cave of Gi hits is, like, real good. Like, the character writing for that switch up for Nanaki, like, love it. It's golden.
I love how they did the voice from, stoic Nanaki to kid Nanaki. Ugh.
Yeah, great sell in both languages. And like his verbiage changes too, it's so good. Like I said, Rebirth has so much good shit. And still, like, I think sells you on the mystery. Like, the finale has those moments where you're like, I'm no longer sure what's happening, but I'm fucking here for it. Hell yeah, Zack and Cloud team up, get Sephiroth. Hell yeah, brother. Get that guy's ass. We'll call it Reunion. They haven't said the name officially. If Reunion doesn't end with the fucking ultimate Sephiroth team up of, like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be shirtless Sephiroth versus Cloud again, because that is how the actual game ends. But, like, if before that we don't get the, like, super quadruple best of the team up where we get all of our playable characters, including Sid and Vinny, who will be new, and also we bring back fucking Aerith and Zack, like, I'm going to be disappointed. Give me fucking everybody. I mean, I should say I genuinely don't know because previous versions of the canon, because they were excluded from the ending cutscenes because they were pre-rendered. In previous versions of the story, Vincent and Yuffie do not go to the final battle in North Crater. They stay behind in Midgar. So we might do that. If we do that, please, for the love of God, give me just Vinny V 1v1 Hojo. I don't need anything else in this world. That's not true, but I really want Vincent to punch that man's smug, froggy face in. God, I hate Hojo. And Rebirth is so good at making me hate Hojo.
I love how they brought back Beach Hojo in a way that made sense. God fucking damn it.
And that's the beauty of the narrative of Rebirth. Like, they take all these moments that are, like, some of them are nothing moments or they're jokes, and they're like, no, we're gonna work this into narrative. The fucking Climb Up Mount Coral is that way. Like you said, does it have to have a fucking baller EDM remix? No, but we needed a moment of, like, we're coming off, like, everybody being weird at like, the boat and Costa del Sol, so we need to, like, decompress, right? We need to, like, space out time so that, Yuffie can start to fit into the crew, and so that Barrett can start building up his manly man pain.
So Aerith can get a fucking climber's high and be super fucking cute.
Yeah, but how yeah, like you said, how we do that spacing is Aerith gets real weird. But, like, it's good for her because we need these moments because, like I said, I don't think Aerith will be completely absent from the third game, but by design, I think she's going to have a much smaller, like, I'm going to assume she's probably going to be limited to, like, weird Force Ghost voices in Cloud's head for the most part.
Yeah, probably.
probably show up for a couple of key sequences. But mostly she will be in the backdrop, which is also why I mentioned earlier. I kind of hope Brianna wins this award because, like I said, I don't think she's going to get enough screen time in the third game to warrant another nom.
Honestly, I bet we're going to get some ARCs anytime Cloud has to take a fucking nap.
Boy, how does Cloud have to take a lot of naps?
He's going to need some naps.
God, I'm just thinking of the pacing. I can't believe they actually ended it after Temple of the Ancients, because we're gonna have the wildest fucking opener to this third game. We are going to do just like the real game did. We're gonna hike up the fucking Icicle Village. We're gonna learn about Aerith's dad. We're gonna snowboard. We're gonna climb a fucking mountain, and then we're gonna do North Crater for the first time, which is a trip, guys. It is a mind tingler.
So we probably will start in Icicle Village, but I'm pretty sure they'll streamline North Crater.
They'll probably do just the climbing minigame, and then, like, honestly, the original North Crater is actually pretty straightforward. Like, you climb up the outer side of it, Gaia's Cliff it's called, which is, like, an interesting cliff climbing minigame. There is a boss fight versus a twin-headed dragon guy for no real reason other than we needed a boss fight. And the parts where you can get lost in the ice field beforehand, where you can get the Alexander materia, we're probably not going to do that the same way. Like, I would imagine that'll probably be an open world segment where, like, you have to, like, find warm areas to camp out so you don't fucking freeze, you know?
Yeah, I'm expecting just a fucking wide out blizzard. You just have to keep moving forward. Looking for
that would also be really strong. I would like that too. Yeah. And, like, once you actually get over the cliff into the crater, that's all story. Like, there are sections where you can hit random encounters and they might do, like, a mini dungeon. But I could see them, there's no boss fight or anything in that zone, so I could see them super streamlining that to just, like, all cutscene exposition and like, walking around. And then the game gets crazy, because, like, that's gonna be basically our prologue, our cold open, and then, everybody gets, knocked the fuck out, by Sephiroth summoning Meteor and the weapons bursting out of the ground, and then when we wake back up, Tifa is our viewpoint character, you're in prison, and Barrett's like, yo, Tifa, you gotta see this shit. He lifts the shades, and you just look up into the sky, and there's that big fucking pink ball up there, and you're just like, oh, shit.
I wonder if it's not exactly gonna be Meteor this time. Maybe.
I don't know, because Sephiroth's doing new stuff, but he's still gonna get the black materia, probably, so... And I mean, the meteor in the sky is such an iconic part of the visual. They're gonna have to do something with it.
They're gonna have to do something with it, but remember, there was that other world that had just the big white ring or whatever in it.
Yeah, the like,
alternate
wiped
line?
Out sky. Yeah, what are they? Yeah. Like the torn?
Remember.
They had a word for it earlier that I don't remember, like the torn sky or something. Maybe they'll do both?
I don't know. Like, I'm excited. I cannot wait for the announcement already. Guys, I know you're working on it.
Well, I mean, like I said, they're doing their best to turbo this thing out. I think they're gonna hit Part 3 by 2077, or 2027. What's it, 2077? No, I think they have to have the meteor visible in the sky to some people, because that's such a part of that part of the story, is just the overwhelming ennui of everybody looks up into the fucking sky and it's just like, damn, that's really up there. Like, that's...
Well, you gotta remember, the sky's already torn, and Cloud can see it, but no one else can.
Yeah. I could see them, like, either they're going to advance the torn sky effect, or they're going to, like I said, combine it with the meteor, or both, because both work. But something fucked up's going to happen to that sky, because that is such a like, there's a reason why the world map theme changes to that fucking haunting, like, alarm sound. Ba 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 ba. It's like warning bells. Like, yeah, they're going to do it. And like we said, I think we've theory crafted a lot about it, but the Rebirth storyline is definitely going to be a lot of, like, it's going to be the chase for the huge materia, which is probably going to be directly related to maybe trying to save the weapons, or maybe we decide we have to defeat the weapons, so, one, they don't kill innocent people, because they're going to do that. The weapons are a little crazy, y'all. Remember, Ultimate Weapon bombs Mideel, which is, like, a backwater fucking nowhere. I don't think they even have a proper Mako reactor. But, so, like, we're going to do the weapons and the huge materia quest will probably be combined, but I think it's a lot of it is going to be, like, our Avalanche team trying to, like, recruit a squad so that we can, defeat Sephiroth and or stop the meteor and save the planet, because Shinra is going to do some Shinra bullshit, like shoot a gun at Sephiroth. It's a really big gun, but will it work? No. Actually, I think technically it does remove the barrier so we can get inside, but there are probably other ways they could do that. But yeah, they say they're working on it fully, and like the script's already, or I should say, the plot outline's already written, and they're hard at work on game development. And they say they're committed. They want to have you do the Highwind fly around the world map. They don't know exactly how they're going to pull it off yet, but they want to do it. They want to preserve that feeling, like not just as a fast travel option, but genuinely have you fucking fly that guy around. And I hope they pull it off good, because that's another part of 7 that's so hecking iconic, of just like the first time you jump in that baby, it plays, Highwind Takes to the Skies, and you just rock it up, and you're like, oh shit, I'm flying on the world map. I can go anywhere, do anything.
Except land on the forest or water.
Correct. That later you realize, oh, I can't do anything. And I really hope, whether it's another, like, the Gilgamesh Relic style side quests, or it's a main plot thing, I can't wait to see what they do with Knights of the Round. I bet that's going to be another big deal. Fucking Thornton shows up. Challenges Sephiroth to beat Thornton Extreme in less than 5 minutes. To me, my knights. This is gonna be the bad thing. I'm so dyed in the wool from fucking 14th Knights of the Round. I'm gonna be like, at this, that's when I'm gonna be like, you! Oh, wait, no. I mean, the Knights of the Round was a sideball about, like, it was their strongest one, but it was clearly supposed to be like a little treat, so they designed the cutscene to be the most elaborate, over the top. 14 really fucking sells them as, like, in the 14 fashion of making them all primals, basically, but, like, really sells them very hard as, like, a unit, which is, like, really good. And so I think the 7 team's gonna have a lot to work with to, like, bring them up to that level. I'm also, I admit, it's another, also because of my 14 bias, but I am very excited to see what they do when they bring back the Hades summon, because that's one of the ones they haven't covered yet.
I am ready for third Bahamut, though.
God, Bahamut. Well, it should be 0. I don't know if it'll actually be 0, because the Bahamut Rebirth was a little different, but
it actually really wasn't.
I mean, it was a little bit different, and they kind of revamped his look a little. But the main thing is, I think they changed the name.
Well, no, that's because
similar.
Because I'm pretty sure it was Bahamut Kai in Japanese. They only changed him Neo Bahamut because Englishisms.
That might just be because of the character limit. Yeah, so maybe it will be full blown Bahamut 0. I really hope they can pull off in full fucking 4K the effect of him, being in space and shooting a fucking moon laser. But yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but we should probably have the 4-ish summons should probably be, I think, what are the ones we got left? Hades, Bahamut 0, Knights of the Round. Oh, I don't even know if there is one more, because they did do Kujata and Alexander. Maybe they'll like do a revamp of Leviathan again for Wutai.
Maybe, because we don't know what they're going to do at Wutai. Wutai's a lot more important with this story, but we don't know how they're actually going to incorporate that.
Yeah, I actually also genuinely don't know where that'll be. Like, because on the one hand, it'd be kind of disappointing if they waited until we got Cloud back in the squad for Yuffie to be like, all right, cool, the gang's all together. You guys got to go to my homeland of Wutai. I personally think
if we just did a DLC for Rebirth where you go do the whole Wutai story, I think that would be great.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. They've straight up said that they're not doing DLC because they want to focus on getting the third game out as fast as possible. That, I think, would have been a good candidate for a side story, but they're gonna have to figure out how to work it into the main plot, and it'll be... Yeah, I mean, I don't know when the timing will be. I mean, it'll be good. Actually, no, I just realized it has to be after we get Cloud back, because Wutai is going to turn into the conclusion of the Don Corneo story, and it's not going to be right if Cloud's not there to kick that fucker off a cliff. Okay, sorry, literally Type 0.
Yeah, I was looking it up.
So
yeah, the Neo Bahamut's Bahamut Kai, which literally means Bahamut modified.
Yeah, which I think can also be sometimes is colorfully translated as like reborn or remade. It's applied a lot to mecha anime. That's right, Bahamut is a mecha. You heard it here first, folks.
I believe it.
Listen, Big B's pretty tough. Again, not that they have to do a crossover, but, if Bahamut Type 0 got as one of his, like, basic command attacks, got Ankh Morn, wouldn't be mad. Be very funny. But it'll be... Oh, God, what are we up to for... Is it Terra Flare for Type 0?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's Terra Flare. It's Terra or Exaflare. Hey, who knows? Maybe they'll go all the way, and they'll let this Bahamut be, like, the third guy to cast, or the fourth guy to cast Zeta Flare. Anyway, I'm prevaricating a little bit. Sorry. Rebirth is really good for best narrative. Our last two are the big one, and it's kind of awkward to me that Game of the Year and Best Game Direction have the exact same nominees at 6. I feel like this is intentional somehow. Also, yes, thank you. It is Terraflare. Big money, no whammies. So I'm gonna read the descriptions for both back to back, and then the nominees. But remember, both of them are the same for the same categories. So, Game of the Year reads: recognize a game that delivers the absolute best experience over all creative and technical fields. Again, that really makes me doubt that Erdtree should be on there. Like, it does just say recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best, but like again, it's I don't know. Best Game Direction is just for. I say just, it's also a really good award for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. That one probably could be, because like I said, Erdtree does, like, the gameplay is still pretty core, but they do a lot of different stuff with like, revamping their leveling system. They designed a whole-ass new map. But your nominees are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio. Oh, baby. I strongly think that Rebirth is probably not going to clinch these, just because I think it's got better chances in lower categories. Then again, we have talked about this before. Like, this is the thing that happens in the year that Elden Ring won Game of the Year. Elden Ring only won like 1 or 2 awards. God of War Ragnarok won a shitload of awards. I could see Rebirth or even some other of these entries kind of splitting the card in a similar way. Like, maybe they vote Erdtree Game of the Year, and just because that's how the fucking weird-ass world we live in, you know?
Yep.
And then it doesn't win any other awards. Those go to other titles, despite the fact that I do think, like they said, with absolute best experience over all creative and technical fields, don't know about that for a DLC. Don't know about that one, Chief. But I could see it winning the category. Or we could see a stronger case where, like, I mean, who knows? We could be looking at full Astrobot or Balatro sweep, like, both of those games, I think, have a strong chance to just, out of nowhere, win in every category they're in. I would not be mad if Rebirth sweep, but like I said, I don't know if Rebirth's got quite the same jazz. I do not think Wukong will come away with this one because it's not a popular vote. The article I'm reading from literally mentions that Wukong's got a strong rating, but it's only in, like, the low 80s on, like, OpenCritic. All the rest of the games, including Shadow of Erdtree, are in the 90s. And since this is going to be a panel of judges, I do think that the fact that generally most of these games are awarded better, Wukong will probably not take away Game of the Year. It might get Best Game Direction, but like I said, I could see it winning, like, lower down on the card. Game Direction, I feel like I want to give it to Astrobot, or maybe Balatro.
Game Direction, I think Game Direction's probably, because while Balatro is a good game, it is also a simple game.
It's true. The visual design is very, very simplified on purpose.
Yes.
Astrobot's a really strong one to clock in, though, because, like, that has good creative vision for both the design of the actual gameplay and also, like, how it is made, in addition to all of its, like, visual and audio stuff. Rebirth, I think, still has a very strong case for Best Game Direction, because, like, you can't say they don't have vision, chat. You can't say it. I would honestly say the same thing for Metaphor. Also, good contender. You can't say they don't have vision. Maybe you don't agree with it, but they had it.
No, yeah.
Like, that's a tough pick. Game of the Year is, like, out of those games, which is the absolute best experience? I kind of want to give it to Astro.
I think I'm gonna still I'll double down on Rebirth, honestly.
Like I said, yeah, I also think Rebirth in my zone. I think Astro's just, like, universal appeal might take it over the top, but, like, Rebirth really did. That was my everything game for a solid, like, month when it came out. Like, I dropped P3R, you know, for basically the entire rest of this year to play Rebirth.
No, this is just me, like, laying in bed, just thinking Rebirth thoughts randomly, just be like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I have to say that Rebirth is my personal game of the year, like, no matter what. Like I said, I think Astrobot might edge out for the award with even more universal appeal, but Rebirth has to be the game of the year for me. Like I said, it was such a big tentpole, and like I said, it pushed other games off my schedule, no contest. And unlike Remake, where there was actually a phase where, like, halfway through the game I did do my usual thing with RPGs and get a little burnt out, I don't think I ever had a significant stoppage. I think I took like a day off here and there, but I did not put down Rebirth for an extended period of time and jump back to it. I think I stayed in it for a long time to keep up with all the other people playing it, you know? So, like, yeah, no, I think it is Rebirth for me. But all of these are mostly strong contenders, other than our own thoughts about, like, Erdtree's a really awkward fit with the way you've built these categories, you know? I guess it could have been some of these guys, like, absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. I do not feel like it was everybody's best experience, though, and, like I said, a post-game DLC is your absolute best experience is I don't want to say it's wrong. It feels a little wrong to me, but I want to say it's awkward no matter what. It feels odd. Wow, okay. I should have known better. I have to be better about policing myself when we get in the Rebirth weeds. We're almost at 4 hours. That's gonna have to go in the video description. I'm gonna have to warn everybody. Also, we talk about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth again for a long time. That's a game drum stroke. But yeah, those are your nominees. I think we've dissected them thoroughly. The awards show is December 12th, so we'll find out, how it goes there. I'm sure we'll see a fuck ton of trailers and stuff. There'll be some new shit. I am pretty sure he'll be there, but I must continue to hope to God Hideo Kojima's gonna bust out on stage. Maybe he'll have fucking Norman Reedus climb out of a real-life pit of tar to walk on stage this year. Dude can do anything. The medley's gonna be pretty interesting. Honestly, talking about, like, the Game of the Year medley, ReFantazio is in that nom, so it should get part of the montage, but it's gonna be really interesting to hear them do Balatro bits, because... Sorry, sneeze crept up on me. Because, like, Balatro has, like a soundtrack. It's also, like, very simple. It's got a vibe. Ooh, the double sneeze. Ow, my backbones. That's the VGAs and the golden joysticks. Lucky, did you have anything else that was going on with you this week that you want to talk about on the show?
No, nothing that I did want to maybe get into some rain talk, but it's not that important.
Mm-hmm.
So we can
stimulate the rain talk by me reminding you to upload 23, I think, is not uploaded. Let me check.
Okay.
I'll post that one up good, too.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded 24, so we're still not behind yet. Yeah, only 22 is posted. Good couple of shows. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun in Rain, but that's another one that I'm afraid we would get deep into the weeds if we started talking about now. And I don't want to completely destroy my fucking sleep schedule. Also, I still have to edit all this shit. Hold on, I'm gonna blow my nose off mic, chat. Sorry, I'm apparently getting real sinusy in the 13th hour here. Okay. Let us outro then. Soz, if you are watching this video on YouTube, like it, or else leave a comment. Feel free to share what your picks for any of these categories we discussed are in the comments below, or comment about anything. And, leave your comments about how many Lotto boxes you did. Who was your MVP? I suspect we'll probably see a lot of names, but I am curious if people are going to have outliers. So hit us up in the comments or join our Discord. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to get more contentos. So, content like the APs, like the upcoming Best of Lost Belt 6. More streams, more videos, more stuff. Yay, stuff. You can also make sure to join our channel memberships on YouTube to get access to membership badges and emotes and other fun things. We really appreciate that support. And you can support us on Patreon to get access to the episodes early in audio format for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year. And at higher levels, you can get access to the show live as we record it, or even get a little on-air shout-out like our toppest tier patrons like Adam Harp, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV9000, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Sharvor, some guy named Bob, and They're in the Crow. If you like what we do, want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. But also just consider dropping us the old, sub and like on YouTube. All that engagement stuff helps. And we'll be seeing you next week for more. Good night, everybody.
Good night.